Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Overwatch International Community Cup tournament. I am joined today by this beautiful picture of Wisey,
Hey there.
and I am obviously, of course, Daz. I am your regular host, but also will be color casting for you guys today, whereas Wisey will be taking over the play-by-play.
Yeah, not something I usually do, but it's gonna be a fun experience either way, especially with this game. I've been told it's gonna be intense, especially by people who have watched games of Latvia before.
Of course, and don't worry, we're not forcing him to do it. He has chosen to do it, so don't you worry about that. But we are joined, of course, today by these two amazing teams that we have seen only get stronger and stronger, I think, as the tournament have gone on. So we have the Russians coming in, who haven't been on stream yet. So this is the first time we've had the Russians on, which is great because that means we have to find a new flag for them every single time. And then the Latvians, who have been kind of a repeat returners, I think, so far, really, coming in, winning most of their games in the group stage and winning all their games on the stream so far. So they're currently 100% record on that, and I imagine they'll be keen to keep that going. Wouldn't you think, Wisey?
Yeah, I think if you're sort of the quote-unquote defending champions of this, where you've not lost any games, you don't want to break that streak. It's the whole Vancouver Titans storyline in a sense that you don't want to lose that winning streak because you will be mentally boomed when it does happen. But this
Yeah,
could be the game it happens. Russia are a good team, but Latvia, they're also good. I've seen them on stream in the past.
of course. And now these obviously quite close geographically. Not sure if neighbors. I'm not going to quote that if they're bordering each other, but they are close geographically, of course. So I think this will be a very interesting fight because I think they're going to both want to be beating each other here. Don't you think, Wisey?
Yeah, I think the winner of this sort of decides like who is just the better team at this point. And with a lot of talent on both of these teams as well. I mean, the past like games I've seen of Latvia, they've looked very good. But
Mm-hmm.
Russia also have some very good prodigies on their side too. I mean, Baboshka is someone I've casted before, and he's shown me a variety of roles, feeding Reinhardt, very good support. So he's got that flexibility to be able to bring this through for his team. So I think Russia are going to be the team that makes this close for Latvia.
Definitely. If there's anyone to do it, it'd be the team that's currently unbeaten, and that is the Russians so far. One of the very few teams that have done that. They went unbeaten in the group stages, and now they are currently unbeaten in the knockouts. But they have only, of course, played one game. This is the second one, and they're going to be fighting for that coveted spot to stay inside the winners bracket. As we all know, it's a lot harder to battle back through into the grand finals through the losers bracket because you've got to fight absolutely everyone and everything in your way and take those extra
Yeah.
games into precaution. And obviously, you go into a grand finals with a disadvantage. You're a map down off the start. So, what do you think is going through their heads? Is that their main necessity at the moment to get that win and stay in that winners bracket?
Yeah, I think none of these teams want to have to battle through losers because there
Mm-hmm.
are some decent contenders in the losers bracket.
Mm-hmm.
I just think these two teams will want to get that winners bracket win, stay there, and not have to go through the extra games, the extra preparation,
Definitely.
and obviously the mental boom that comes with it.
Yeah. And I don't know, B, I want to put them up on the screen now. We've got the squads for today. So obviously the Latvians were quite used to at this point, but the Russians are going to be a completely new lineup to us. And I do have the lineup on my screen. Well, here's the Latvians. Oh, no, sorry. Here's the Russians first coming across. We have on the DPS spot, we have Ziegel. And on the other DPS, I believe we have Sloth for today. And Portos takes the tank role alongside what I can only presume is pronounced Mirka.
Yeah.
And Canodian with Baboska, obviously the captain being Baboska, on that support role. What's your thoughts on the captain being on the support role? Do you reckon that has any kind of difference on the team? Because we all know that usually a main tank likes to take the kind of role. But do you think being the captain on support makes a difference in terms of how the team's going to communicate, how they're going to come across it?
I reckon it depends on what support role he's playing. If you're playing something like the flex support, which is like the Ana Moira, stuff like that, that doesn't really have that overall view of everything that's happening, it could be a bit harder to play that sort of captain in-game leader role. But on something
Mm-hmm.
like Lucio or Mercy, where you can view over that fight from an outside angle and contribute it like to it directly, I do think that that's a decent idea to have your in-game leader as that sort of player.
Definitely.
Especially with main support being one of the least mechanically dependent roles in the game, arguably.
controversial. I'm sure you have the mercy mains on you on that one, but
Yeah.
we do see the Latvian lineup coming up shortly now as well. So as the beautiful graphic slides over, thank you to I think it was Icebox who made that for us. Big shout out. But we do have Benetton and well, it's no longer Zedwards. It will be Stella in game, but we've been told to continue calling him Zedwards, of course. Teabag and Cucumbers on the tanks, and I'm always going to butcher his pronunciation, but Haskish and
That
Papa
sounds alright to
Lucio
me.
on the
Yeah.
support.
Yeah. Papa
Um,
Lucio is. He seems like I think we can already see what he's gonna play here, right? Obviously, he's gonna be playing the Lucio. And I think there'll be a lot of BM coming through from the Latvians too, because obviously Teabag. That name just
yeah,
has very BM connotations to it.
yeah, definitely. But I think this team is one that there's kind of used to. And they're kind of going to just keep everything together. And it's obviously the momentum they need to keep going. This Latvian side, they've been very strong on stream. They've beaten our favourites to win this tournament, the Polish. That was my personal favourite anyway. And that highest average SR team, if I can disclose that information, I have now. So there you go. But it'd be interesting to see exactly what happens here and whether they can kind of continue this against the Russians, which we don't know anything about at this current moment in time. So do you think that element of surprise is going to come in handy for the Russians?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lack of preparation for the Latvians, that's for sure, because they won't be able to, know the style that the Russians can be playing. The Russians could bring out some insane strategies. I mean, I've seen some weird, wacky strategies being played, and especially Overwatch League recently, that I think the Russians could bring to this game. Those sort of unorthodox strategies, especially without the preparation from the Latvians. And obviously the Latvians, they can be scouted. They've played a good few games on stream. They have, like, the Russians have had the content. They've been able to review those VODs and check out what kind of compositions will be played on what maps by the Latvians.
Definitely. Just a couple minutes before we start here, just waiting on the Latvians to ready up. So we're just going to go over the map pool, I believe, for today. So, as we all know from the map pool, you should have seen we have Ilios as our starting map. And then obviously that goes through to 3 to be confirmed maps, which are going to be chosen by the losers in this situation, while the winners, sorry, not the home, the winners take the pick of which side they want. So we have obviously in the order of as we have been doing throughout the entire playoffs, which is hybrid followed by escort followed by assault, and the tiebreaker map, should we be at 2-2 when it comes to it, will be Lijiang. Obviously if it's a draw, it's no points because we're not playing for points, we're playing for the winner here. So once we get to that final tiebreaker map, if it somehow is 2-2, which I think is possible if there's a draw, we'll have to play another tiebreaker map, which will be chosen by the loser of the previous map. So that's the description of how exactly we're going to do this. Hopefully it doesn't come down to a 6th map, because we've been there and done that and had 3 hours games before, and I can tell you now it was not enjoyable. But yes, so while we're still just currently waiting for this, Wisey, just wanted to ask you, you come out of retirement for this in some way, shape, or form. So just wanted to know your thoughts on exactly why. Did you just see the opportunity and you offered out as a nice thing to do, or what's going on there?
Okay, there's an entire storyline behind this. I'm sure you remember the Canada versus Norway game, right? Where I came in, I subbed in for Canada despite having, only like one distant relative in Canada, and obviously like I came out in that interview and I was like, yo, hi, I brought the energy, right? And then I was like, yo, I actually like this, so I might actually continue casting for these guys. So I asked Seymour about it, and then I asked you about it, and I was then a caster. So that right there was the turning point for me. I was like, yo, this broadcast seems amazing. We do interviews and stuff, and there's going to be a lot of energy. So I decided that this is going to be at least worth coming out of that quote-unquote retirement phase for, especially
Definitely.
running the risk of the parents catching me doing it. Wait,
Yeah,
is that a snake?
it's a snake. I have a snake in my hands. It's beautiful. Look
What
at
on
it.
earth? Dude, snakes freak me out. Also, that looks like one of those
Oh, I'm
gummy
so
snakes you get in like
sorry.
Haribo packets.
I didn't know you were freaked out by a snake. I am apologizing, but
Nah, it's alright, it's
yes,
alright.
this is Milk. This is Milk, the corn snake. Don't ask about the
Milk the
name.
corn snake?
Yeah, Milk the corn snake.
Is a corn snake even a thing, or are you just making that up, bro?
No, corn snakes are a thing. They are a thing. It's definitely a thing. But yeah, back to the match. I think both teams are ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start that game, and we're going to go in. Obviously, we've got the play-by-play caster is Wisey. I will be providing color casting for you guys today. So yes, I hope you enjoy it. Pass you over to, well, to ourselves, actually, for once. I don't have to say I'm passing over to anyone else. So very interesting. But
Yeah, Desk Host and Color Caster, which is a pretty unorthodox combo that you wouldn't really see in a production. But hey, I mean, this stream was sort of last minute. We were just like scrounging around for people, and I mean, Daz's color casting. Let's face it, it won't be that bad. Like
I did
it
it
really can't
all
be.
of season 1, my friend. I did play by play, I did color. It's all a part of my my abattoir now. So.
Precisely, yeah, and I mean, you've got the experience for it. I've got the experience doing both color and play-by-play, so we're both pretty prepared for this, and I'm assuming these teams are as well. Looks like they're going to be rolling out on some relatively meta compositions, although some interesting choices here with the Roadhog.
Yeah, I mean, it's well. I think we can all agree that that's definitely the competitive mindset. Hey, let's get the environmental kills. You don't have to do damage if you throw someone into the pit. So that's obviously probably what Cucumber Burger's thinking there. But, you know, I think they've got a very boop-heavy lineup. I think 4 of the 6 characters can boop someone into the well, so it'd be interesting. Oh, 5 if you include the Junkrat, of course.
Yeah, those Junkrat mines can be pretty deadly as well, especially combined with those pull combos. That's usually why you play the Orisa in these compositions. And I mean, this seems like the Russians right now are taking an interesting pathing. They want to take this high ground control, and they're not going to take the point here, which means this is just going to be a game of complete poke. They're going to be breaking each other's shields down, and the grasp is already used here by the Russians, so that's going to contribute to them losing this poke fight maybe a little bit. But insane pull out from Merca to take down Teabag, although Benetton does come back with the kill into Baboshka. Haskai, I can't pronounce that. Haskais gets taken out by the Junkrat mine, but Nova gets traded out. So this is going pretty evenly in the poke phase so far, but there is some aggression coming through from Portos in the front line. And he's just trying to contest the hog, but I mean, that hook, he's got to be careful.
Yeah, and that first point goes to the red side, which is the Russians. So interesting. Here comes the first hook. Here comes the first pull of the game as well. 2 people getting pulled in. But it's just interesting to see now that Latvia are turning the tides of this battle. What this team's really doing is focusing on those environmentals.
Yeah, I mean, Teabag got in that fight 2 pull kills, and then there's 1 hook kill from Cucumbergs as well. That was just an amazing fight in general for the Latvians, despite the fact that the Russians did take early control.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for the Russians, but they do get their 19% on the board, which could, you know, mean the difference between taking the point and not. As we all know, taking that point on Ilios, getting any percentage on the board on control, you're already a fifth of the way to winning, and that might be that last fifth that you need to just secure the win at the end.
Yeah, getting every single bit of advantage you can get is important. And the Latvians already, their Ashe player is down, so that's going to contribute to them losing out on a bit of poke. Both Terrors being pulled out by both Junkrats here. Nova finds Papa Lucia with his, Stellar finds Sloth with his, so there is a very good trade coming out now, especially with Teabag being down. It's going to be a little bit of a shield out of the way. Portos gets hooked off of the map by Cucumbergers, so again, this hog is just working out extremely well for them, and it looks like the Latvians... with Stellar going down, I was going to say they might be able to regain control, but they're not going to be able to. Even the beat being invested here by Papa Lucio to maybe turn this around, and the whole hog for Cucumbergers, it doesn't seem like any kills will be gotten from it, though. It's a wasted ultimate, and the flip comes through for the Russians.
Yeah, I mean, they've secured an extra 10-15% with that beat and that whole hog, but whether you're actually going to use those to do that is interesting. I don't know if that was the part of the game plan to just kind of use those to stall as much time as possible, but like we said, the percentages do add up, and if that's a 10% at the end that wins them the game, they will look back and think that was a good idea. We do see Bob being thrown in actually here by the Reds, coming close to equaling percentage-wise for both teams at the moment, as the Lucio actually presses the back line, jumping in on the Baptiste of the Russian side, who is diligent and does get picked off in the end. Which is, I think we've got some technical difficulties currently with YZ unable to continue at the moment, so I will be briefly taking over as this is happening. But we do see the red team here, the Russians kind of looking very strong here, just kind of sitting back. They're staying away from that well as they know the environmentals is coming in hot. And there is a Junkrat hiding away with his ultimate, 5 ults. So I do not see the Latvians really getting any kind of purchase here of making a dent, although the pick does come off actually, as I say that. So no Junkrat ult, only down to 4, which is obviously plenty enough to take it. Bob comes in from the blue side, the Latvians throwing it in. And we do see the fall of 2 players to Benetton's Ashe play, as we know, ridiculous so far, and that is a clean sweep, 5-man, not quite a team kill, but definitely a strong play nonetheless so far from these Russians. This
Yeah.
Junkrat's really working for the Latvians here, don't you think?
Yeah, that Junkrat is just doing amazing for the Latvians right now. It helped them retake that as well as Benetton's Ash, and I apologize for my connection issues there. Daz had to take over for a second. Discord is a great application, by the way, guys. Use it for voice communication. Anyway, now coming into this, there is going to be a tire available for Nova here, but it does seem as if the Latvians will be using their tire first. They want to try and find something with it, and they will find Nova with it. Nova was actually trying to go for a flank there, so it's a very good tire from Stella to be able to shut that down, and now the Russians have to back off, but it's 88%. They can't give up any more time.
Yeah, it's definitely a final battle here, and the pick does come for the Latvians instead. The Nova's pulling out the tire here, but I think they're just pulling out the stops to try and get a final touch. They do take some of the point as well,
Yeah.
but we do see they are being held back very strongly by the Russians here, and it is very much a fair game at the moment.
Yeah, this bongo from the Russians is so insane. It's doing so much damage to the Latvians that they have to play as conservatively as they can. And with the discords as well coming through from the Russians, it's just so difficult for anyone on the Latvian side to gain space. And now the pull comes through from the Latvians, trying to pull everyone together, but there's nothing to combo with it. And T-Bar going down here means there's going to be no more sustain in the front line. Everyone else has to try and step up, and no one else can do it. Sloth does get taken out there, but that's all the Latvians have to their name as a stall comes out here. By Stellar on the Tracer, he's going to try and get some value, but the Fortified Orisa just isn't the greatest target to shoot as a Tracer.
No, and that first map does go to those very strong-looking Russians, although it didn't look like at the start they were going to, after only taking the first 20% and being felon by half of their percentage to the Latvians. So it's a very strong showing out of the blocks from both teams, actually, and I think it's going to be a very tight game if all of them end up like this.
Yeah, I think as well, I think you'll agree with me on this, is one of the things that Latvians are currently relying on are their DPS. Stellar and Benetton had to do something in those fights to get value, and whenever there were trades, it seemed like the Russians just came out on top because they had the better sustained game.
Yeah, definitely. We do see the spawns coming in early on. Not many changes, but we do see a Mercy coming in and a Sigma for the Latvian side. So it'd be interesting to see what the change in dynamic does for this team.
Yeah, I think the Latvians are going over to Sigma to allow for a bit more shield sustain. Their shields were getting destroyed pretty early on in those poke phases, so hopefully this helps them out ever so slightly as T-Bag misses his first pull, and definitely not a miss from Mirko with his pull. The Russians getting the first pick, taking first blood, and I mean, Haskais does res that up, but now the res is out of the fight, that's a whole resource just gone, and you've got to wait 30 seconds for that if you're the Latvians, and you're going to have to play this slowly now. Cucumbergers going down to Sloth here, and this is just completely tragic for the Latvians now. They can't get in here. The Russians just took that space, and they took the opportunity very easily there.
Yeah, and this early on we can see already the tipping force is coming towards the Reds. The Russians. They're really taking this and taking the momentum and making sure that they keep it as they push forward into the early stages of this map. And it is a very, very good opportunity to kind of get a mental boom in on the Latvians if they can take this first map with a 2-0 scoreline.
Yeah, the Russians here, surprisingly, their team name is Team Rush B, and yet they're playing this very slowly. They're, drawing out these poke phases, allowing their DPS to get value, and now the tire is being pulled out here by Nova, and it finds 3 members. That is an insane tire, and that's going to shut down the fight in an instant.
Yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant tire to just pull out any kind of, just reduce the team by half even there, and just allow the rest of his team to push up and just swipe the rest of the kills into the team and get that reset going. And maybe even push this fight into close to last fight territory.
Yeah, 60% is where you've got to start worrying if the Latvians. You want to get control here, you want to actually try and do something, and it seems like Stellar will try and make the heroic play. He's going to go over with the tire, try and find something with it. Does manage to find Nova, but is traded out into T-Bag before he dies, so that is he just squeezed every bit of value he could out of that. The res comes through onto T-Bag though, so this might actually be won by the Latvians. It's 6v5 right now, Trans being invested here, Babushka thinks it's winnable. That in-game leader must be making these calls to actually turn this around, and it does seem as if they can. Sloth using the Bob here, trying to get some stall value out here. And I mean, Teabag, he's going very low due to that Bob. Someone has to deal with this, and the Amplification Matrix is used on point right now by the Latvians to try and win this out right now. It's just complete and utter chaos right now. Everyone's all over the place, and Papa Lucio is still alive on point, uses that Immortality Field to save himself and Teabag, but Teabag gets rocked out of it. Might also die here with the Immortality Field being taken out very quickly here. With an Immortality Field for the Russians, it does seem as if they will be taking this point and the map 2-0.
Yeah, and that definitely won't be good for the Latvians, but the Russians will be very happy with this scoreline going into this 1-0 up and the momentum on their side. And they'll be looking to take that into the hybrid map next and possibly continue that all the way through to the end of the game.
Yeah, you've got to think now, if you're the Russians, you've taken down, you've taken a map from the Latvians, and that has got to give you that motivation, that's going to give you momentum, and that is what you need in a series like this.
Definitely. And, you know, I think it's a strong showing from both teams. I have to hand it to both of them. They are both really pulling out the stops here. I can see that the Latvians definitely have the ability to get back into this game. It's nothing about the in-game ability that's stopping them from doing that at this current moment in time. I think it's just a matter of the Russians just being dominant from the start. But we know there are teams out there that, you know, they take a little while to get going. They get their feet, they get their footing, and then they push into the game. And that is always a possibility for both teams at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like the Latvians just need to get warmed up. Their DPS seem to be the only ones who are actually, you know, have got their heads in the game and are pulling out these stops. I mean, Benetton and Stellar there were just doing amazingly. They were getting those trades out, but in these trade situations, the Russians are just bringing it out because their executive, like, shot calls seem to be just better. They're getting the good rotations. They're outlasting the Latvians in terms of these long-winded fights.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all about outlasting your opponent, especially in these kind of situations. It is a marathon, not a sprint. You can win one map and get rolled up in the next three. So I think at the moment, Russia sitting pretty. They don't seem to be overextending themselves. They don't seem to be pulling out all their surprises early on. Pretty standard composition, really. Maybe the Junkrat a little bit less out of the meta, but still has its uses, obviously, as a shield break, and it really does come in handy against some of these double shield lineups that we obviously see without the changes quite going through yet in the latest patch notes. So just out of curiosity, do you see that that kind of situation changing without the need to break those double shields? Do you reckon the comps are going to change massively once that update goes through?
Yeah, I think the double shield nerfs are going to be something that the entire community as a whole were looking forward to, but it is also just something that will change the meta drastically. We've seen other compositions being played and that Junkrat. I mean, the thing is, you've got to look at this from two sides, because sure, double shields will be nerfed and they won't be in the game for as long, but that indirectly buffs this sort of burst damage style. Pull, Junkrat mines, left clicks, all that kind of stuff, the dynamites as well from Ash. If you have no shields to negate that burst damage, you're not going to get, like, you're not going to survive for long, are you? So
No.
the nerfing shields indirectly buffs this sort of burst style, but I do think that it allows for more counterplay. And I do think for teams like Latvia, who do rely on their DPS, this could be a massive update coming up in the next couple of patches.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll be excited to see how that makes a change. Obviously, those changes probably going to be going through in the next couple of weeks. So it definitely will take an impact on this season of the tournament. And that's something we like to see, is those mid-tournament changes, just to try and switch something up. Might trip someone up on the way through. Will be very interesting to see how that's going. But, you know, honestly, I think it's a good change. I think, you know, changing the meta up again is something that's a little bit overdue at this point. And I know a lot of people have been liking the changes, although it has taken them a very long while to put them through, it has to be said. But we are just waiting on one of the players for the Latvian team. So I am going to just quickly make sure what map we're going to get yet next. From what you saw of these teams, do you have any kind of idea what map they might pick from the hybrid map pool? Maybe to do with their comp that they were playing, or do you have any just kind of shots in the dark of what you think they're going to be playing here?
Well, the Latvians were playing a lot more of a diverse range of heroes. They're playing the Roadhog, they were playing the Mercy, and when they realized the Hog wasn't working out, they swapped to the Sigma for the next map. They're quick to adapt, but I do think they want to go for these sort of interesting strategies. And there are a few maps that I have in mind that have some interesting strategies, namely Iconvold, Numbani, maps like that, where there are some set plays you can run. And obviously maps that potentially could rely on your DPS. Numbani, Genji is very powerful. Iconvold, the Junkrat is also very powerful, so if you want Stellar back on that, you can. The Latvians, they've got a diverse range of choices that they can use for this next hybrid map pick, considering that I believe it's loser's pick, right? So they'll be picking this next map.
Yeah, they will be, and the winners get the choice of picking which side they want. Obviously, can be quite handy tactically, but I think the picking of the map is definitely trumps the picking of the side in terms of the advantage you get. A lot of these teams are probably going to be picking particular maps for this kind of reason, may recognize that they might fall to a stronger team in the next week and decide to grind a particular map that maybe isn't played as much. So, I think personally, if it was me, I would have ground out a lot of Hollywood maps if possible, pick that, because I know that's one of the least picked hybrid maps, I believe, across the board. So, those interesting map pips, they can really throw a team. I don't know if you've seen that a couple of times, YZ, but I think personally that it does really throw a team off if you pick something that they may not have scrimmed regularly for.
Yeah, I mean, the tournaments I've casted in the past have always been fans of playing stuff like King's Row, Iconvold, and maps like that, where people do practice strategies for those regularly. But when it comes to maps like Numbani, like Hollywood, like you mentioned, a lot of teams don't have preparation for those. And if they do have compositions to run, they typically don't know how to run them on those maps, specific rotations, and ways to play them in set plays. And I think for a team like the Latvians, they'll want to choose something like that. But we do actually have an update on that right now. They're picking King's Row. So throw everything I said out the window. We're going to either double shield or brawl.
Great, but on the bright side, I think we get to see Junkrat pulled out here, because when you're playing against that double shield, especially if it's on defense, I think a Junkrat is really strong here. Just a personal point of preference. Whenever I've scrimmed as a DPS player, I've always preferred to play Junkrat on the defensive side. You can get a lot of damage down that central play, and you can pick other characters that have the same sort of role. Hanzo comes to mind as a shield breaker that has a lot of distribution down the center. But I think if you get one of those characters that really pick up a lot of damage down the middle of the field, you can really give some proper problems for the attacking side.
Yeah, I think King's Row is especially one of those maps where those tight corners are going to be something that benefits Junkrat, which is it's been mirrored so far, so you're expecting to see it. But also, I mean, like you said, with the Russians being the attackers in this, the Latvians could get a leg up and an actual, mental boost if they can pull off this potentially a full hold defense with the Junkrat. Or you could just see Brawl mirrored on both sides. It depends on what these teams have been scrimming, what their preferences are. And I mean, picking King's Row usually signifies that you do want to play something a lot more close range. You don't want to make these fights last long.
Yeah, you want to keep these fights nice and short. You want to get that wipe early on so you can take the opposition team down without too much of an issue, and to keep it nice and concise. And kind of get that rotation going, because once you get into that rhythm of having a team fight every minute or so, roughly, you get into that rhythm, you know what you're doing, you can try and kind of just cookie cutter it, and then that pulls the other team apart, maybe mentally booms and makes them try something different, forces them to switch it up, and oftentimes can be the kind of cause of a full hold, really.
Yeah, I think a full hold is what the Latvians are looking for. I do think the Russians, they'll probably have a counter strat to this. I think if they've scrimmed King's Row at all recently, in my own scrims, I've seen that Junkrat is becoming a more of a popular pick, especially on this map. So I think they will have a counter strategy for this. I mean, already out the gates, you're seeing something relatively unorthodox.
Yeah, unorthodox, definitely. And we do see the Mercy coming out from the defending side, probably to pocket Benetton, who is one of their stronger players. And I can definitely see why the Ashe potential with the damage boost is favored here over a different kind of main support.
Yeah, I do think so, and I mean, on this defensive side, having that damage boost will be key, especially holding these chokes. But Nova finding the starting pick onto Papa Lucio, so that is going to be crucial. That's a lot of healing gone. The Mercy is now the only healer on the board for the side of the Latvians, and this rotation now from the Russians is just going to be so amazing. They're just charging down this one little tiny long hallway, and it's working out. Haskais goes down to Nova here, and even though Nova trades his life for it, it results in a team fight win for the Russians. That was an amazing rotation, an amazing first pick from Nova, and maybe a bit of a mistake from Papa Lucio.
Yeah, that is really strong idea actually to push them all the way through that top side, just
They don't want to
condensing
cut
them
the
into
point
that
though.
hallway. Yeah, they're taking a little time to cut the point there, but I'm sure they won't mind those couple of minutes. But that rotation round to the top, interesting because I haven't seen that before, and I think the Ash for the Latvian side had the opportunity to jump out of that window and drop to point and maybe support their team on the point, and opted to kind of walk away with their tank and healer. So interesting whether that would have taken a tide turn in the battle, but obviously we're talking ifs and buts now, so we should probably just focus on what's happened currently.
Yeah, likely just a positional misplay, like you said, and now Portos wants to close this distance. He's got the Lucio speed boost to be able to help him if he wants it, and he's going in right now. Nova tries to get a pick onto Benetton, and he succeeds with it. That insane play, using that mine to jump up and kill him, and now Haskais is going to go down to follow it. This is insane. Sloth can go clean up the targets that Nova gets low, and now the Russians have as much space as they want to work with right now. They can run past these shields if they want to, and even though the pulls are coming through from Latvians and they're holding out, I do think that the Russians right now, they are, I mean, they're not pushing payload, but they're content with the space they have.
Yeah, definitely. We do see the ult coming out early from Nova.
What an insane play from Nova!
Wow.
He continuously does this time and time again. He gets a 3k in the last map and he finds a 4k in this one. This is why you run the Junkrat. You get that explosive potential, no pun intended, and you manage to shut down teamfights in an instant.
Yeah, that's what the power of a ult that does so much burst damage can do. There's nothing that can save you from that except a bat immortality field. And when he isn't quick enough, that is just a GG, unfortunately.
Yeah, and now, I mean, the res has to come on to Benetton here because obviously the staggered kill came through from Sloth, but it still does seem like it'll be a teamfight win for the Latvians as a pole flux comes through right now. This can shut them down instantly. The coalescence is used to keep them alive, though Porto slams and dies immediately after, so gets completely no value out of this. Now Stellar popping that tire, going to be potentially looking for something with this as he's weaving his way around, and I mean, oh, he finds a 2k tire. That is insane, and this is where the Latvians can finally stabilize, and I mean, Sloth, even through that, he still finds a pick. So you can tell this Genji is going to be problematic for the Latvians in future.
Well, yeah, definitely. A good Genji can be problematic whether they're buffed or nerfed. And you know that even though that it has been nerfed recently, I think a lot of people have found their niche with using him where he wasn't really used in previous metas, other than obviously sort of your dive metas of the past, because he's just been a little bit too weak. But now that everyone's had this time to use him, even after the nerfs have gone back through, he has seen a lot of playtime, and it's interesting to see his character being used in a lot of the metas.
Yeah, he's such a diverse, versatile character that you can use him in any situation, but now he's pulling out the blade, going to be using it in combination with the grab, trying to find Stellar, does manage to find him, and now Benton's going to be his next target, finds it, and gets some damage onto the tank line, so this is going to be a very easily cleaned up fight for the Russians, as that blade just basically carries the entire thing, along with the grab from Mirka.
And it doesn't actually seem to be as big of a as a wipe as it obviously appears. They have seemed to have only, you know, the one hold, but that has meant that there's still a little time bank, so it's only 4 minutes really. We've seen much higher on a much regular basis coming into this in scrims, in comp games, and in matches. And as we see the trade, Junkrat's trading kills there, we do, you know, it's not out of reach if this time bank stays as it is. Obviously, the minimum time getting it to the end probably be around 3 minute mark if they don't get stopped in the next few fights. So it's nothing to kind of bat your eyelids at. It's nothing that's kind of shows that this is a extremely strong showing from the attacking side, and the Latvians are doing well to hold it.
Yeah, and the Russians were stopped in their tracks for a moment there as the Moira did go down, and that's just a lack of healing, but now the Coalescence is going to come through here, but Nova, again, clutches up, finding a 3k tire onto all of the crucial members on the side of Latvia, and now this is just going to be a complete stomp. Portos goes in, finds two, and manages to charge Bob as well. Stellar is going to come out of spawn with the tire here, but it's likely going to get destroyed before he can even find a clutch. The Amplification Matrix is going to be used here from Papa Lucius, who's trying to clutch things out, and he does take out Sloth. The beat, however, negates the tire, and now Portos preventing any sort of stagger touch with that shatter.
Wow.
And what an insane play from Nova. He's done it time and time again.
Incredible, and obviously we know the use of the tank ultimates in this game can be pivotal to keeping people off the point, especially with Gravitic and the shatter shown there, and that's what a good main tank can do. It can stop anyone from even touching that point if he pulls out at the right time, and it is obviously worked with the 2 minute 52 time bank being kept safe, as obviously there will coming back on, you still got to wipe that team. That 20 seconds could be pivotal. So we'll see how the attack fares from, a side that defended pretty decently and maybe shown unfairly in the score. I don't think they're getting rolled per se. They are putting up a fight. I just feel like,
Nova's
I
carrying.
feel like Nova's going to definitely be able to type junk diff in the chat at the end of this match, unfortunately.
Yeah, he could even type it after this map if he wanted to. I think I've seen only 1k tires from Stellar, and Nova's just been getting complete, an utter rolls with these tires. 3k, and then a 4k, and then another, I believe that was a 3k in that fight. It is just insane how many tires this man manages to get, and that's partly due to the Latvians just being unable to break that tire the moment they see it. It's just maybe a lack of target focus, maybe just a lack of game sense. I'm not entirely sure, but this is not the Latvians that I saw about a week ago.
Yeah, no, definitely. Maybe that was just a case of them being a strong team, sure, but not coming up against such strong opponents. As the game does start, we do see the Junkrat coming out on the defense. I love to see it. Nova obviously showing his one-trick junk stats here, but I will obviously hand back over to you as this fight seems to be heating up.
Yeah, this Junkrat on the defense is going to be so good as well, considering it's Nova on the Junkrat. And Portos manages to find an early pick off onto Stellar with that Fire Strike, so a bit surprising. You don't usually see those, especially into double shield compositions, but Sloth manages to find 2 of his Dynamite as well. This is just going insanely well for the Russians, with so many, very good picks coming through in the poke phase, and a lot of ultimates now to speak for it.
Yeah, I think the Russians will be very happy with that pool Fire Strike combo taking one out, and the follow-up from the Sloth on the Ash is actually incredible. Pulling out that that big dynamite into that crowd of people who just recovered from a hole. So it wasn't even during the hole; it was recovering from the hole, and he just pops that in and gets 2 picks with the dynamite. Incredible, and obviously forces Latvia to stop in their tracks. Out comes an early tire from Nova as well.
Yeah, that picks off Stellar, and that means that's the second time Stellar's gotten picked off first in these situations. He wasn't able to right-click dash the tire, and now it just seems like the Russians are going to be able to clean up off of it. This is just insane. It seems like there's no way the Latvians can get through this choke without suffering some sort of loss or spam or compensation for it.
Yeah, definitely. And you would think that Benetton only 40% on ult at the moment. You would think that he would switch over to something a bit more comfortable like his Ashe. Obviously, he has the potential to carry and can counter the other Ashe and even take out the Junkrat from a distance. Unfortunately, he does look to be staying on the Mei. I don't know if this is a part of their team plan, or maybe they're just trying to build up that Blizzard. Maybe he feels like that 40% is close enough to warrant the staying. But I feel like there might need to be a switch up in the comp. Otherwise, I think we will see more of the same from the defensive side.
Yeah, and it feels like the rotations are so slow from Latvia. It took so long to go through Hotel here, and even though they get there eventually, Haskais goes down again as compensation for it, and now Portos is just going to be holding them off at that Hotel corner, and now Cucumburgers is stuck now. He's going to get pressured out by Portos on the off angle here, and with that pull coming through, it seems like no one can even back out of this team fight here. Seems like Cucumburgers wants to... Okay, he's being confusing right now. He went into Hotel after there were 2 players down, so I'm not sure what his idea is here, but I mean, that wall being used early means that this is just going to be like a lost fight here.
And I hate to break it to you, but Nova is standing in a corner with a big tire in his hands and takes out 3 from behind. Incredible to watch this man do that in the real time. Benetton getting the pick onto Nova and the dynamite coming out. But I don't think I've seen 6 people away from the point at any point in this match for the defending side. The Rezzers have come out immediately and just kind of swept up any picks that the Latvians have got under the rug. And we're close approaching 1 minute and final fight.
Yeah, this looks like final fight, and with the amount of ultimates that are being fielded here by the Russians, despite the amount of ultimates on the other side from the Latvians, it seems like these ultimates can just, clutch it out. The Grav does come through here, but the Immortality Field is just going to counter it. The Shatter from Portos manages to find Stellar there, as Benetton goes down to Nova with that mine, but Stellar finally popping off here on the Genji, getting a couple dashes through, finding 2 picks off of it, and this seems like finally where the Latvians can break through. They had to use ultimates for it, but it happened.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of stat padding, really, though, from the Genji there, just dashing through a group of frozen and grabbed players there. But that was a huge blizzard, and I think the Mercy just got caught on the edge in mid-Valk, which means, unfortunately, Canadian loses the ult and obviously gets the shame of not being able to heal his teammates as they got rolled while frozen. It makes you think, really, what if he had stayed alive and kept his team sustained? But I don't think that is really the matter now.
Yeah, the Amp Pulse Fire Strike was attempted there by the Russians, but it didn't quite work out. But even so, Nova goes in, gets the flanking teabag, and manages to win this fight for his team, essentially, as well as Porto's just going for a Chad charge onto Cucumburgers. And this is just so interesting to see how the Russians are playing so aggressive, but it's working.
Yeah, you got to be attacking to defend, of course. Best attack is a good defense. But out comes a Nanoblade in the back line. I think I'll let you follow this one.
Yeah, this Nanoblade just got Sloth, and that is going to be crucial as Dynamite's out of the fight, and Cucumburger's finding 3 just by swinging into the front line there. So even though Stellar didn't get very many of those picks, he got everyone low enough through that Immortality field to allow for Cucumburgers to get a 4K.
Yeah, forget the hammer and sickle. It's the hammer and blade bringing down the damage here against the Russians. The Latvians sweeping up and looking a lot stronger now. That's 2 team fights they've won in a row. Maybe a bit of happiness, bit of team spirit coming together now, hopefully for them. Obviously, we don't want to be rooting for either team, but it is nice to see the team even up a little bit more.
Yeah, now there's no choke to, spam through. The Latvians actually are able to, take the space they want to. Nova looking for a flank here, maybe trying to get some disruption into the backline, but he gets taken out for his troubles. And now the shield of Cucumber is down, but the Immortality field will prevent the grab, so it might be winnable here for the Russians, but with 3 people going down and Cucumber is charging into the backline, it does seem like the Latvians are finally getting on their feet.
Yeah, and watching Benetton play here. Oh, early tire gets only 1. Sorry to interrupt my own speaking, but this will get put over the line as a Sleptonova gets taken out. But watching Benetton play is incredible. That man, he just lines up his crosshairs, and he knows exactly where the team's going to be. He gets 3 headshots in a row. I think that was just kind of crouch spams and clicks at the perfect time to make sure that his hitbox is never in the way unless he's firing, and really just stayed alive on 5 health, finally falling to a stray bullet when he jumped down to point from an Orisa. So brilliant play from him to keep himself alive and get those picks while in that grab, even though there was an Immortality field up that he couldn't aim at.
Yeah, and the high ground now is being controlled by the Latvians, although they did get pulled off of it, so it's a very intelligent pull coming out from the Orisa to prevent that. Papa Lucia gets taken out by Sloth's Bob, and this will mean there's no disengage available here for the Latvians. There can be as much aggression as they won on the side of the Russians, and it gets absolutely used to its fullest extent. Nova, Sloth, finding 4 together in that team fight.
Yeah, and the only person dying there is the 7th man, Bob, unfortunately. So the Latvians don't even get a consolation pick in reality. That's not going to do much, considering Bob's already swept through their entire backline and ended that team fight. But we do see them reset, and they have time for maybe 2 pushes here, so they need to be pushing early to get that through. But we do see a Junkrat hiding with 94% charge on his ultimate, and that is Nova. Jumps back into the fight, unfortunately, but out comes the Nanoblade in the background, I believe.
It's not even a Nano Blade. Stellar just goes in with that Dry Blade and the B to sustain it. Baboshka goes down, which means there's going to be no antis available, and this just means that Nova, I mean, he can't clutch it there, he can't stay alive long enough, and this is actually going to be the Russians that now are on their back foot, and they have to try and stall this out last minute.
Yeah, apologies for my bad call. I didn't see the Dry Blade. I thought I saw a Nano go onto him, but obviously I was just seeing shadows. But the recontest needs to come early from this Genji, otherwise they're going to be pushed in. 1 minute, meter 88 on the thing. Only Papa Lucio pressing the point, but there's a Reinhardt here. 2 picks from Benetton early on. I'm taking over your job on the play-by-play, but out comes the crowd from the blue side. The Latvians sweeping up, the Nano coming out, all ults coming out, and that will be a minute on the clock.
No problem. You take my play-by-play. I'll take your color segment. So, yeah, I mean, in that team fight, it did seem like Sloth was a bit late on the uptake there to try and take the point back. Didn't quite get for the contest early on enough. And I mean, this is what I mean when I say Latvians are relying on their DPS. As soon as Stellar and Benetton start hitting those shots, getting the value, and getting those dynamites and dashes, they begin to actually get their team moving forward. And now they have a fighting chance. They have a minute to be able to get, as much time as they want in this offense, and I think that the Russians might have to be wary of this. They might have to change up some things to prevent Stellar from getting the value on the Genji, and also just, prevent the Benetton from hitting all these insane shots.
Yeah, I mean, that man has been carrying in weeks past, and it is showing why he's carrying in weeks commencing since. And, they've got to rely on that, but they also have to make sure that their team also, wakes up a bit. I think Cucumber Burgers is really coming up to showing what he can do now. He has properly shown exactly what his Ryan is capable of, and he's going to continue to play that well. Then we could see the tides change. All it takes is 1 or 2 players to really toggle on, switch on, and get their game going, and they can pick off anyone, especially in tournaments where it's a similar level.
Yeah, these teams are pretty similarly leveled, I'm assuming, because obviously it's a tournament. So they are going to be around the same level. And, I mean, you can tell, these teams are going at each other for everything they've got. They're going at each other's throats in the pool. Dynamite attempt to come through here, but it didn't quite happen as a Dynamite was just a bit short-handed. And now it's the Russians' turn to maybe set up some pull combos, but the Fire Strike is used early on by Porto, so he's not going to get anything out of that. And now this Pharah is just getting so much value. It's slowly accumulating, but the Russians are losing their very aggressive positioning, and this is going to be very detrimental. This is going to mean, with Nova going down, that they might actually lose this fight. Merca here has to fortify early on, and this means that he's not going to be able to actually get in that front line later on in the fight, which just gives the advantage overall to the Latvians. Portos goes down to the Dynamite here from Benetton, again clutching up, and Merca here gets taken up by his counterpart in Teabag, and the Nano onto Cucumburgers wasn't really necessary, but no. I can see why they used it.
Definitely. I mean, it's a bit of a wasted ult, but I imagine if there was a low health Ryan, I don't think without low health, and I don't think two supports would have taken them out. But, you know, I think it was just kind of a safety ult. Can't blame them. Taking the point is substantial in terms of the minute of overtime they had. So it is, you know, crucial. You can hold that choke for ages if necessary. But, you know, we're coming to the point where they've got to push this card through a very strong choke in overtime. If they play their cards right, I reckon Russia can easily take it here and give them 3 minutes 15 to do what is basically just two pushes.
Yeah, but the Pharah and the Ashe are both going to tear through him here, and the anti coming through onto Portos means that he's going to go low as well. This is so dreadful from the Russians. They're not able to get any positioning. A Cucumburgers lands a shatter, doesn't manage to find anything, and a shatter of Portos' own actually used here, but again, there's no follow-up. Everyone's already backing off. It seems like a bit of a mismatch in comms right now. The Bob gets slapped up on point, is still going to be contesting it, so there can be some space taken here by the Russians, and it seems like they will do exactly that. Portos trying to swing in, maybe build up that shatter, but Stellar goes in with the barrage, finds two, and that is going to be pretty much the end of this team fight right now, and Latvians are going to continue pushing it forward in overtime.
Yeah, that's an incredible fight from both teams, all throwing ults in there very strong, but we do see the Latvians being the winners here, and they're going to continue to push around that corner.
Yeah, I think the Latvians here are actually finding their footing. They're finding these sort of spammy compositions that, for some reason, the Russians just can't seem to deal with, and it does seem very, very effective. Right.
Sorry, I was dealing with something externally, so you're going to have to take back the play-by-play for a second here. Apologies, mate.
Don't worry, it's alright. So, Cucumburger's here, trying to go into the front line, but he is being threatened by this Junkrat Tower. He does find Papalusha, which means there's a lot of healing out of the fight. And it's a total C9 from the side of the Latvians. They're not able to touch the point at all. Teabag steps off for just a moment too long. And that right there is going to be the end of the run for the Latvians. Now, it's the Russians' turn to try and take this back.
Yeah, it was... Oh, wow. I just caught the end of that C9 there. Wow. I mean, if you're pushing it all that way, you've got to make sure you don't C9.
I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, that distance, though, it is decent, and it is decently hard to do in 3 minutes 15, to be fair. So you got to hand it to them. It is a decent push, but it could have been so much further if they didn't C9 that.
Yeah, it could have been. And it seemed like they might have been able to turn the fight as well, I think, because Benetton was in the backline just accumulating damage. There weren't very many ultimates, I think, from the side of the Russians, so they could have maybe turned that around on the Latvian side. But either way, the Russians, alas, now are going to be pushing on the offense, and I mean they're changing their composition up a little bit. Maybe they're being a bit frightened by the Pharah that was just run.
I mean, it is a frightening Pharah coming out from the attacker side. Stella, also known as Zedwood, is an incredible player. I'm surprised we haven't seen him on his signature Widow yet, so far as he has done so much throughout this tournament. But we do see a very interesting comp coming out from the attackers. I hope this will switch just before the end and they're giving us a big debate. But currently I see a Winston and a Bastion. Thank you very much. Do not want to see that ever again. They're coming to a proper comp now. Very cursed comp. But we do see a proper comp coming out, and the defensive comp coming against them, the Mate Ashe, very much what we would consider quote unquote meta, you know, just before this double shield meta.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean, this is going to allow for a lot of spam damage to accumulate. The walls can also prevent Cucumburgers from playing aggressive as he has been. This is a very nice adaptation, and Nova completely tops it off with an insane 3k flank. And he finds 4 as well. What a play. And this is going to give so much time to the Russians for this next push coming through. They just have to get it through streets.
Oh my god, that was a huge quadruple kill. I think it would have been 5 if... the first kill wasn't so far away from the rest, but oh my god, I don't think I've ever seen a Junkrat tear through a backline as strong as that in a while.
Yeah, and he's playing so aggressively right now. He's even being pressured out by Cucumburgers in that little room. The wall does come through to prevent Portos from going as aggressive as he'd like to. And this is just an insane fight in the mini room right now. But Nova does find the tire onto Babalusho, which means Cucumburgers could not engage at all, especially considering the fact that he was dead at that point. But Sloth and Portos do go down right now. And this seems like it can be clutchable for the Latvians. They just have to back up, allow the Russians a bit of space, and then from that they can win this fight, hopefully. Nova, though, still exists, so he can clutch this up.
Only 4 on point at the moment, with 2 coming back from spawn, but they will be coming closely. I think they're not going to be able to contest before they get their last players back, so it is going to be a full 6v6 for this final fight, and a battle of who is the better Junkrat.
Yeah, exactly. And this coalescence from Canodian and the one from Haskais can be good, but a big shatter comes through there from Portos to find Cucumburgers, and that's the only shield completely out of the way. The Junkrat can get so much value right now, tearing them up, and Benetton does find a pick onto Baboshka, so there's going to be no aggression coming out from Portos for quite some time right now. The Graviton comes into the backline, gets walled off by his own team, interesting, but it does seem as if Sloth gets taken out here, and that is going to be the end of this team fight, hopefully. The Latvians can finally stabilize on this defense, and we're getting into one-fight territory, especially considering the long spawn from the attackers on the street phase.
Yeah, that was an incredible play, actually. I was just watching Stella jumping up in the air when he saw the Rhine charging at him, threw a mine at his feet, and immediately threw himself up into the air. What an incredible play to keep himself alive and keep the team fight going.
Yeah, now Cucumburgers is being punished a little bit for his aggression, and right now Nova has his tire online. We've seen what this guy can do with the tire. Hopefully he can clutch it up this time, but Portos gets walled off immediately by Benetton, and that is an insane clutch. That's going to make it one-fight territory guaranteed now, despite the fact that Russians might have had a bit of an advantage coming into that fight.
We do see Nova just diving in the back line. I think he's very low and he's going to have to get out there and get the final health pack there. But we do see ults coming 3-3, almost 4-4, and it'll be interesting to see who uses that
Sloth, they know he's there and he dies! That is such a crucial pick off for the Latvians now, and that's going to be insane. Stellar finds a pick onto Nova, and that's the tire completely out of the fight. He might even have to tire from spawn for this next fight, considering the fact that it's 15 seconds remaining and someone will have to touch. It might have to be Portos here, and let's hope he can, because there's so many ultimates for the Russians, and it would be such a tragedy if they don't manage to touch it at this point. Even a wall from Benetton could make this a completely lost fight. However, the Flux and the Shatter come through from Portos and Maker, trying to get some picks off of it, but there's literally nothing gained, and Stellar actually finds Baboshka right now. It's all up to Nova to clutch out with the tire. He finds Papalusho, and that is going to be the pick they might need. Now, Teabag is completely out of position, and Portos is going to completely capitalize on that right now. Stellar taking the duel with Nova on the high ground, but Cucumburgers goes down, and this might actually be the moment where the Latvians crumble at the very last minute. Renneton, he has to try and get back onto the point, but he can't quite do it right now. The Moira tries to fade into position, but gets rolled by the trap. And that Latvians, they crumbled at the last minute. The Russians clutch it out right then and there, and it is 2-0 right now in the half.
What an unfortunate finish for the Latvians there, who have been holding so well throughout this tournament and held so well. Did that 3 minutes 15 perfectly, considering they got wiped on the first point, and just for it to fall. This is what I was watching in the back line. Look at this pressure. They don't even know he's there. I'm pretty sure that's 6 kills in total. I think he got 6 kills there. Oh my god, that was incredible.
You honestly love to see it from Nova. He was carrying, genuinely.
There's no other word for it. I think carrying is the only one that is applicable in this situation.
I mean, you mentioned it before. Another word for it is Junkrat Def.
Well, he has the full right to say it in chat. I have to say it is 100% true. It is complete and utter Junkrat diff at this moment in time, and I am very, very, very interested to see what happens in this final map.
Yeah, and you mentioned before as well. I believe it was it Stellar who's the Widow specialist for the Agro team right now. Was it or not?
Yes, it was Stellar. Yep.
Yeah, so I think they might have to pull out all the stops here. I think in the map they pick, they should pick a Widow map. Is it Escort next? I believe it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So Escort. So that means that Gibraltar is available. Stellar could whip out this clutch Widowmaker and completely dunk on the Russians. Considering
alternatively,
how close
you
that
do
last map
have
was.
the option of Havana as well, being a one-way sniper map, and Junkertown.
Yeah, I do think that Widowmaker can be good. Didn't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think he needs to get off of that Junkrat. He's getting diffed a little bit right now. Kind of needs to pull out a new kind of counter to it. And long range is Junkrat's issue, really. Well, being accurate from long range anyway. I know you can get those lucky nades, but he needs to get a lot of luck to be able to hit from a long distance. Whereas Widow, it's pure skill, it's pure mechanics.
Yeah, I think the Latvians were winning a lot of those fights purely because Stellar wasn't on the Junkrat, right? He was on the Genji, he was dashing through, getting dynamites with Benetton, and Benetton was also carrying a little bit as well. This game doesn't even seem like Latvia versus Russia anymore. It's basically just Nova versus Benetton, isn't it?
Yeah, the battle of the two DPS carries.
Yeah, and I agree. Like this could be an interesting map, especially if it's Gibraltar or Havana or something like that.
Yeah, and of course everyone's doing well at the moment. Cucumber Burger is actually on that main tank is doing very well on the Reinhardt a lot of the time and sweeping up where the DPS maybe just don't quite finish off. And he has been gotten a lot of kills in the feed so far.
Yeah, and I usually don't say this, but I think the losing team here, which is Latvia, actually have a couple of better roles than the Russians. I mean, the Reinhardt just seems a lot more aggressive and a lot more supported by the rest of his team on the side of Latvia. Like Cucumbergers can go as aggressive as he wants, essentially, compared to Portos, who has to play very careful.
Yeah, and playing that careful, it comes with its benefits though, because you get to hide your supports behind your shield, and he's doing that correctly for the Russians. And that's keeping that Junkrat away. No matter how much you throw at a shield, until it's broken, that shield does not let anything through. And that's something keen to remember, because Portos is making sure his supports are out of the way before his shield gets broken. And I'm not seeing many picks from the Stella onto any of the supports at this moment in time. He isn't quite doing what Nova is, jumping into the backline and taking out the supports. He isn't circumventing the shields in any way, but he is getting good shield pressure and doing that job correctly.
Yeah, he's not learning from Babushka, essentially. He's playing careful instead of inting into the backline like I once casted him doing. And it is interesting to see Babushka on this support. Like, it's just odd to me because I've casted him before on that Reinhardt, and I hyped him up, like, amazingly. And in this game, he seems rather silent.
Yeah, he has been a little bit quiet so far, I have to agree. As the captain, maybe he's just taken that support role so he can take a look back and maybe think, right, where can I help my team in that captain sense, rather than being that main tank where you have to do the shot calling predominantly. Obviously, that's predominantly a main tank role in most scrims and most teams that I've known of. Obviously, there's going to be the odd exception, but
Yeah.
maybe he's taking that captain role seriously. Maybe he's keeping an eye on what needs to be changed, what needs to be improved on, and the best way he can do that is a character that takes a little less thought, a little less brain cells, and playing that sort of that main support role where you can sit back and just exist.
Dude, the Mercy mains aren't just gonna be after me now, You've just got the entire Mercy community on your back. You're gonna get Nyandra, you're gonna get, like, Shiro, you're gonna get like, EVA on your back. Like, genuinely, man, that was the hottest take I've ever
I
heard.
think EVA is
Main
going
sports
through
and big
some
brain
of
cells.
her own issues right now. I think she's got enough Twitter drama to be dealing with our small organization. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah,
But
wait,
I know
who
that as
EVA?
yeah, EVA, yeah.
Oh yeah,
We
I've
were
seen it, I've seen it.
You've seen it,
There's
yeah.
always Twitter drama though. You've got to admit, like,
There is
Twitter
always
is
Twitter
just
drama,
drama
always.
central.
Yeah, definitely. But as a former support player on a team myself, I know that passion of playing Mercy, and it's very, very hard to
The passion of playing Mercy.
very hard
Why?
to press right click.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I press right click so passionately that after every single scrim I have to replace my mouse because I just slam
Wow.
I slam my hand
That's
on it.
passion, ladies and gentlemen. That is passion. Nah, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding, guys. Don't worry. We love main support characters. You wouldn't be able to have a team without a main support player. Come on. Everyone plays their own role in this.
Oh, I mean, double
you could
flexible
play-
meta,
Yeah.
Bab Zen, you never know.
You never know. We might see it coming out, especially with those Zen buffs.
True, actually, because the new meta is going to bring a bit of an extended, well, not extended, increased fire rate to Zenyatta, won't it? So it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. But that we will be going to is essentially what a map.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason they picked it with the snipers being so dominant on here. It only makes sense, really.
Yeah, and I mean, if Nova does stay on this Pharah, which she's teasing right now, I mean, it could be interesting to see because a Widowmaker and maybe an Ashe against a Pharah, like, the Pharah's gonna be hard pressed to make something work there.
Oh boy, this does look very, very difficult for Nova here. We do see Zedwoods early on picking that Widow, and I think he's been given free reign to pick that character. Benetton on the Ashe. This is the scary Latvia that we expected, Benetton and Stella getting pocketed by a Mercy with a lot of right-click potential there, ready for a lot of damage to be pumped in from both of them, taking off angles, taking out any flying targets and any squishies with a single click.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder why they didn't pick Numbani or Hollywood in the last losers pick map. They picked King's Row when King's Row isn't essentially a Widow map. And, you know, Hollywood you can play Widowmaker, you can play Widowmaker on Numbani too, although it is a very dive-centric map, so maybe you can't. But generally there were some better choices in King's Row there, and I think that's just a bit of I guess a coaching misplay from Latvia picking that when it's a Junkrat meta.
Yeah, and that spam is necessary though, maybe on that previous map, because I know you can play a Widow a lot on mainly first point at King's Row because there's a lot of space, but maybe just
Good,
opting
yeah.
for that shield break potential was the right idea here because unfortunately, you know, they're coming up against the Junkrat. Sometimes it's better to fight fire with fire. So it'd be interesting whether they would have been able to do better if maybe Latvia decided to go with a Widow instead the entire map. That is completely up to any parallel universe where that happened.
Yeah, they could have picked Hollywood, they could have picked Numbani. Like, it wouldn't have mattered. I think that that there's talent enough on the Russian roster to be able to maybe flex over to some other metas. It just seems like Nova does opt to go for these, you know, flanky sort of AoE damage characters that get very explosive potential. Again, no pun intended. I made this pun in King's Row as well, but he has been very explosive on those characters so far.
Yeah, they have been, you know, the kind of the shining light of the game so far. Those two Junkrats, you know, trying to kind of have a battle of who's got the bigger bombs. But I think really it's just showing who's the winner at the moment, and it's obviously the Russians because they're taking the W's left, right, and center. But we will be restarting because it was paused for a second there, unfortunately, due to a Discord disconnect. So nothing to do with the game. Although Blizzard sort your servers out, so you're not a small indie company, mate. Come on. We do
Yeah.
see the defending side still with those snipers. We do see a sniper on the other team, but also a flying character. I'm going to be very interested how long it takes for this Farah to fall out of the air. I might even time it. Oh, I do see Sloth coming out onto an Echo here as well.
This is the biggest compositional mismatch I've ever seen in the history of Overwatch.
They switched it. Okay, they're giving us a heartbreak here. I still think that Widow can get absolute picks left, right, and center if he gets that support he needs, but obviously no flying character to take out.
Yeah, and the Mercy as well can be pretty good to be able to just go between Stellar and Benetton. And that being said, Portos immediately gets a pick onto Teabag. There must have been too much support being put onto DPS there, where Teabag just couldn't deal with the spam damage. And now it seems like the Russians can just push straight forward. They're going to probably get some sort of payload control here and be able to push it pretty far along with it. Although Stellar does answer back with a pick onto Nova, so that's the carry on, but Papalusha with those heals is going to be gone. The res comes through, so it doesn't seem like there's going to be much of a detriment there. And now the Russians might have to be on the back foot a little bit, play a bit careful with the lack of Nova being there. Grasp is used here by Portos to maybe try and keep himself alive a little bit longer, and Papalusha gets picked off by Sloth again. And again, Nova gets taken out again. So this is just a replay of what just happened, minus the res from Husky as he gets taken out, but Sloth gets taken out as well. Both DPS lines are pretty much almost down over than Benetton, and the Mercy's gone on the side of Latvia as well, so this is very hard to say who will win out on this fight, but the payload's just rolling its way in. No one on the side of Latvia is contesting it, and it's a complete C9 from Cucumbergers.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit bad to say C9. I think Cucumbers was on
I call everything a C9.
Yeah, of course. I know you do, but I think there isn't really much he could have done there. Benetton's going to fall here, but you know, he was being chased by Portos, and I think this battle of the Sigmas is going to be very integral to who wins, because I'm already seeing on the attack, Portos knows what he's doing on Sigma. He's throwing orbs and aiming at people who aren't even in his range, just in case he can get some damage onto them. He knows what he's doing. He's putting his shield out on a regular basis, keeping it regenerated. I think we're seeing a better Sigma from the Russian side here. A bit early to tell, of course, but it seemed to be going the way of the Russians, and I think that's what we can contribute to at the moment.
Yeah, Portos is also ahead in that Flux charge, which is going to be very crucial in this race to get that Flux. And Bob does come through from the Latvian side, and is going to put some pressure on Baboshka here. It's going to get protected up by Portos, but Nova does go down in the front line here. He had no support at all because they were dealing with the peel for the Bob. Although Teabag is down, so there's a whole shield out of the fight right now. Cucumburgers has to basically just anchor down and help his team out the best he can right now. And with Benetton and Stellar popping off completely here, it does seem as if the Russians finally get shut down. And this is the time that Latvians need now to be able to stabilize, get some defensive sightline angles, and make sure that Sloth and Nova can't just run rampant.
Yeah, and it's kind of situations like this. You're forced onto the Orisa because of the distance that the snipers pose. There's no way you can protect your entire team from a sniper with just the Rhine shield, and that mobility and the ability to pull them out of cover is really handy. But for a Sigma, there's only one person you can protect, and that's yourself. As Nova gets a pick onto Papalucio, Teabag onto Nova, just disrupting my conversation here. But we'll pass back over to you as we do see 2 falling for the Blues here.
Yeah, Nova pretty much just jumps onto point there and tires the Baptiste. There was no immortality field to help it, and with Haskai's going down right now, it seems like both supports out of the fight for Latvia. There's just going to be no defense whatsoever. Sloth and Mirka are just lighting up the kill feed right now with the help of Babushka, and that is just going to be a very nice and clean teamfight win with some clutch plays from Nova too.
Yeah, like I was saying, the 2 tanks on the attack should be, have problems posed against them, but it doesn't seem to be working so far for the defensive side. You would have thought those snipers would give those tanks some issues, but they just seem to be soaking up a lot of damage. Like I said, Sigma only really able to protect himself with his kinetic grasp, or whatever that's called. I think it's kinetic grasp. I just know it as the good old suck, obviously. Sucking those bullets out of the air. But he does get a pick Stellar here onto Baboska in that back line, and this may prove to stop the attack.
Yeah, he did get a pick earlier on onto Nova as well, so this is going to be very crucial to just shutting this down. They do opt to invest the Flux here, which is very interesting. Cucumburgers maybe didn't need to do that as Teabag now goes down. Stellar does find a pick onto Portos though, so it's a tank for a tank right now, an eye for an eye, and it does seem as if Benetton wants to pressure out Nova on the bottom angle. Sloth is actually going very low here, so he's going to have to back up a little bit, and with the amount of damage that's being put out, the angles that are being played by both snipers here, it just seems like the Russians can't get any ground on this third point.
Yeah, it's it's coming to a point where there's finally a hold here from the Latvians. But really, the thing is, are they going to hold this, or are the Russians going to be able to immediately get the pressure back on, as we see a rock coming out into Stellar and ults coming out left, right, and center from both teams?
Yeah, I think the amplification matrix is going to be very good here to just put some pressure onto that angle. And Stellar does get taken out by Nova here, so a bit of a revenge kill right there. The Bob pretty much getting nothing done, but it does peel for the backline ever so slightly there. And now Sloth just goes in, lighting up the kill feed with so many kills. And he's just going to clean up this fight pretty easily, despite the fact that it seemed like the ultimates being used by Latvia would close out the fight pretty quickly.
Yeah, sweeping up that fight nice and tidy, and forcing them back to that respawn, where we're going to see a very hard area to contest, a very open area, and we might see some switches to faster characters coming up soon.
Yeah, and the Flux is being used here by Portos to try and get some value, and it does get that exact value. Sloth Nova follow up onto it quite nicely with a 3k for Sloth here, and that right there is how you play Junkertown. Holy Jesus. That is a decent Junkertown time. 2 minutes isn't bad.
2 minutes is not bad. It's not as big as Wipers, obviously. It comes across. It's the same as King's Row. Same sort of situation, really. 217. Better than King's Row, actually, obviously. But, I think there's just too much in Russia's pocket for them to be able to do anything. I don't see Latvia being able to get a better time, and I'm skeptical to whether they can actually get it all the way. But all that can tell us the answer to that is their next push.
Yeah, I do think that now on the offense, the Latvians are really going to have to bring the heat. I think that Stellar and Benetton are just going to have to continue carrying and hope the rest of the team steps up, because Cucumburgers, he had some questionable fluxes there. He didn't really get much value out of anything he did. His cooldowns seemed always wasted. He never actually, made space with them or got any sort of value out of them. And it seemed like Latvia were just on the back foot for a lot of that, despite the fact that they had some very good defensive positioning for that third hold.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Cucumber Burgers might be having some technical issues here. Hasn't quite picked the character yet on the defense side. Oh, okay, there we go. Perfect.
He was having technical difficulties with Discord before.
He
but...
also disconnected between one of the maps. He was having issues with lag, so I just wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and just throw that in there. But, I think this is going to be a very tough push for the Latvians. I think they might be mentally boomed at this point, and if not, they're definitely the weaker team so far. So I want to see them obviously do well, but I don't feel like they will. And especially when you're coming against that Nova Junkrat, it is disgusting, it is dirty, and it is working for the Russians.
Yeah, Nova's just playing these off angles very nicely. He's going on these off angles, putting in the mines, and then as soon as he gets threatened by any cooldown, he jumps out with the mines. But that being said, Stellar on the Junkrat himself does clutch up and find Canadian. That means there's going to be a lot of heals off the board right now for the Russians. And despite the fact that the positioning is still decent for them, the lack of heals is just going to prevent that positioning from being brought to fruition. And it does seem as if the Latvians, on their first push here, actually surprisingly, do manage to win it out.
Yeah, they are sweeping up a little bit here, and they might be able to prove me wrong, as we do see them pushing all the way through. And there is obviously a reason they picked Junktown. Maybe this is one they practice themselves. But Stella, interesting to see he is on the Junkrat instead of his signature Widow. Maybe he's just not feeling it today. We have had that obviously with a lot of players who like to play a certain character but just aren't feeling it. Maybe picking a slightly more brain dead character. Sorry to all the Junkrat mains out there, myself included. But sometimes it is hard to consistently play Widow all the time perfectly.
Yeah, playing Junkrat here, I agree though, it is sort of brain dead. I mean, there's Nova who's playing it very smartly, going on these flanks and using cooldowns to get himself out of there. But that being said, he's going on flank right now, trying to get some picks, and he does find two with it. Papalucio and Stellar, the Mercy Junkrat duo, getting taken out there, and that means that there's going to be pretty much just a high lack of damage, and Latvians can't even recover from a deficit that low.
Yeah, the deficit is really showing here now. I think they're finally getting their feet in on this defense, and just seeing Nova being able to press that high up and just basically get free kills from the start. It's very interesting to me how he's getting all that space and why no one's picking him up. Maybe the Latvians need to turn their sound up and get some surround sound going, because he is just hiding everywhere.
Yeah, turn that sound up, look behind him, whatever it takes to get Nova out of that flank right now. And that being said, Sloth is the one actually on the flank right now. He's trying to pick off, I believe it's Benetton on the Ash, and he does manage to do it. The tire gets destroyed at the last possible minute. Stellar doesn't find anything out of that. Benetton does get rezzed up right now. And Sloth is all the way in Narnia, getting picked off by Benetton, so that's very, very nice, very good revenge kill. But the pressure is just being put onto the front line now. That was a very good distraction from Sloth, and it might have seemed like he was feeding, but it genuinely worked out.
Yeah, it's a very strong defense, and that was a right idea from them to just kind of push that up and put the pressure on so early. But I mean, it's kind of a very, very difficult situation, I have to say, for the Latvians here. They're being pressed by an extraordinarily strong Russian defense who are so aggressive. I don't know if we've mentioned this enough. They are so aggressive. Nova got stuck in the ceiling there, actually. I'm just watching that. But there's not really any way for the Latvians to get back in at the moment.
Yeah, Nova right now is trying to contest the high ground there, and he already has a tower online. It doesn't actually get anything, sorry. T-Bag manages to take him out with that pull and the left clicks. Portos gets taken out by Benetton as well, and this is where the Latvians can finally push forward. Benetton finding a second one, and that right there is how you break that sort of bunker. You punish the Junkrat in the back line, and then you allow your DPS to pop off with the extra space from it.
Yeah, and that spatial creation that Junkrat is causing a lot of their issues at the moment. They don't really have, a space creation team per se, but that Junkrat is taking that role and making it his own, going in by himself there. A little bit strange. Don't know why his team didn't go in, considering he was the last one to die, actually. But the point does get taken.
Yeah, the point gets taken here, but instantly a fight is going to be picked here by the Russians. Nothing, absolutely nothing, gets gotten by by Portos there with that Gravitic Flux, and that just means that even though Stellar goes down here, there is a bit of an ultimate. In fact, I say there's an ultimate disadvantage. There's no ultimates on either side apart from that bonga from Mirka. Benetton gets taken out by Nova on the flank with the mine. And this is the thing, with the amount of times that Nova's on the flank, he can catch out other people that are on the flank. It's a very smart strategy that I call plat feeding. And it seems to be working out here as Sloth manages to find two of the exact same strategy as I just mentioned.
You really had to call out the plats there. I mean, incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, that just seemed like a very good fight for Sloth and Nova combined.
Yeah, I think every fight's a good fight for Sloth at this point. I think he's been incredible in showing his worth as much as Nova has. But I think the plaudits do have to go to both of them, really.
Yeah, both of those DPS are popping off a lot right now, and I mean, that being said, Sloth gets taken out here, and with no mercy on the side of the Russians to res that up, it seems like finally, well, not finally, but once again, the Latvians break through, but you've got to question, how long will this be for? There's going to be a recontest coming through with a lot of ultimates for the Russians.
Yeah, and this is a very good push, to be fair, from the Russians. They are really showing how that they can turn this fight around, and they are closing in on that 2 minute 17 time, possibly being able to beat it, considering this has to be a final recontest, really, from the Russians, unless they take the point back here.
Yeah, the Russians really need to recontest this now and take it back, because 2 minutes on the time bank is something you really do not want to be defending against. Papalusha gets taken out by Nova with that mine, and that right there is going to be so crucial. It gets rid of some of the damage that Stellar can output, as well as Benetton, and with the flux from Portos taking out his counterpart in the form of cucumbers, it definitely seems like the Russians are able to recontest this, and are probably going to stabilize with, you know, the amount of ultimates they saved on that recontest.
Yeah, just finding it interesting how the flexing of the tanks are going for this Latvian side. Cucumbers, playing predominantly Ryan in the previous rounds and maybe looking to be the main tank player, has gone on to the Sigma, whereas Orisa is being played, which is more of the main tank, obviously, in this composition. So it's nice to see the tanks flexing. It's nice to see both players can play a good range of characters, and obviously gives them a little bit of an advantage, a bit of a throw about a misdirection, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Sloth gets taken out by Stellar here, and this is going to be where Stellar can really redeem himself. But that being said, Nova's tower gets destroyed here, and Stellar actually gets value out of his. Benetton does throw in that Bob, gets destroyed instantly, though, and the flux from Cucumburgers finds Canodian there, and that's going to be the immortality field gone, so there's going to be no outlasting this damage from the tanks. And even though Sloth might be able to recontest this for a second, I say that, he gets instantly headshot, one-tapped. The trance will come through here, so Portos can stay on this for a little while longer. He uses that grasp to sustain himself ever so slightly. Baboshka, though, gets one-tapped again. Benetton here, he's just controlling this long sightline, and there's nothing that the Russians can do about it. No immortality available there for Canodian to be able to use, and even though the Doomfist is coming through here, it does seem like finally the Latvians are going to cap this up, although it's going to be under a minute, so it's not going to be too impressive.
Portos really showing how to stall a point. I think he stayed on for a full 30 seconds there, and just really reduced that time to below that that 1 minute barrier, and causing it to add time to their own bank, an extra 22 seconds for themselves on this attack, and obviously they will be defending first. So I think personally think that's a bit of a disadvantage to them, considering they just got rolled on that defense.
Yeah, I do think that the Latvians right now actually have a chance to come back into this, though. I mean, it depends. If they run this Widowmaker and they manage to make it work like they did on their last defense, could potentially work, but they are attacking first here, so ignore everything I just said. You probably wouldn't see an offensive Widowmaker here, especially considering the defense probably wouldn't run it, so why run it on the offense when you have to fight for those angles?
Yeah, you've got to really battle for those angles, especially when you come up against such a strong Junkrat player and an Ashe that can track you wherever you go. That's the difficulty that Stella and Benetton are having to come across. Obviously, Stella coming onto the Junkrat now, so we won't be seeing in a Widow getting the angles, but we'll have to see Benetton try and get those same angles. And it's just about who can win in this mirror matchup. It is a very close composition with a Bat and a Moira separating the two teams. So we do have a 5v5 mirror in this situation. It's really a matter of mechanical skill. And if the paper says what the result is going to be, I do see Russia taking this purely because of how they are slightly better mechanically. But as I say that, I do see Stella switch on to a Tracer. So only 4 of the characters are the same.
Yeah, this Tracer might be able to put some pressure into into the Russian backline, but Benetton does get taken out instantly here, and you can put backline pressure all you want, but without Benetton there, putting in the dynamite and allowing Stellar to clean up on someone, it just isn't going to work out. So Benetton comes out of spawn now, and this is going to be a full 6v6 fight after a couple seconds of stalling here. And instantly here, Benetton gets destroyed instantly. There's nothing he can do. He gets one-shot comboed by Nova with that Junkrat mine. The res comes through to keep him in the fight, but that just forces out resources. Nova's doing so good at just forcing resources to be used here by the Latvian side. and he's still in the front line. He's still putting on that pressure. He's almost got that tower, but he does get taken out by Benetton, finally getting that revenge kill off. And now you're hoping to see Benetton lighting up the kill feed. He's dynamited and doesn't actually hit anything though, so a bit of a whiff there from him, and Sloth actually finds a pick onto Haskai, and as I say that, gets another one to Cucumburgers, so he's actually out ashing the Ash that we thought was better in this sort of composition, and now T-Bag has to just run in, try and get some picks onto the sports here with the entirety of the Russian side being low. Yeah. Sloth gets taken out by T-Bag, so it does seem to work out as he manages to get a couple of left clicks, and now the Tracer into the backline to try and find some value here, but it just doesn't get anything. Although, saying that, he does manage to find Portos, Nova finds Papalucia, but that, finally, the Latvians in that extended fight managed to clean up.
Yeah, you really had to keep Portos alive there, I was just saying. Apologies to speak over you when I did, but that situation where Portos is so close to getting his Sigma roll, you've got to keep him alive. You've got to keep every pocket on him possible, because that Sig9 is incredibly powerful. You can't be within range, and this far into overtime, you can't step outside of the range. So the only thing you can do is dodge with abilities. And whether Haskish had the fade ready to dodge that is, we don't know. But we would have seen a very close to the game ending just there.
Yeah, and this seems like it'll be a sort of a replay of King's Row. I think that Latvia might be able to push it to the end here and then get, held off just as the better defender spawns, take him out. Although saying that, the pulse bomb comes through onto Merca, he gets the immortality field, so it keeps him alive. Nova gets taken out here, so that's the carry out of the fight, but Sloth also traces out onto Haskai, which means this is going to be a very even fight. That being said, Portos using that Critic Flux that he earned last fight on Papalucio and managing to help Sloth get a 3k in this team fight, and he's got a 4, including the Bob, so that is insane. Portos and Sloth managed to clutch it out despite the lack of Nova, and this hopefully should be Russians' win to take. Alright. So that being said, I mean, the Russians here, they seem better off.
I was muted that entire time, sorry.
You're muted.
Yeah, I muted myself and completely forgot I was muted. Sorry, mate. I was just saying, to get that through to the second point, with only a minute on the clock, was very good. That's pretty much just what I said, so you can continue. Apologies.
They got the bargain for their buck there. Let's put it like that, because the Latvians, you can't expect them to get more there. They've got the low ground disadvantage. They can't really get much out of their own Junkrat, as opposed to Nova's Junkrat. Although that being said, he did get taken out of the fight. But I mean, Sloth and Portos there just playing so aggressively in the front line, getting those dynamites, getting the flux. It just worked out so well for them. Like, I love seeing the Russians at work, because they're just every member of this team contributes in some way, and it just seems like they're unstoppable at this point.
Yeah, it's a matter of really stopping this train that is Russia. So obviously it's a great push and everything, but whether we can keep that going is what the Russians should be speaking to each other about. Whether they can keep that kind of momentum. Sorry, did I say Russians? I meant the Latvians. They need to keep that momentum going on the defense, which can be hard, obviously, when you're just standing there and getting rolled on repeat, or you've got to really make sure that your work talks for itself. But we do see a monkey coming out from Portos here, which is very interesting. Maybe to Ash.
I think it's pretty much a set play strat where you use a monkey to get in there, put the bubble in the way, and then Sloth can clean up. And I was literally, as I say it, he cleans up onto the fight. T-Bag does take him out there, but the damage is done. The off tank is gone. There's only one shield in the way. And with, Junkrat on the Russian side with 65% ult charge, there is no way you are winning this fight if you are Latvia. And the aggression is just going to be put on now by, hopefully, Portos on the Winston, but he does jump back. He gets pressured out there by the high damage output that is being run by the Latvians here. And finally, the off-tank is back. The Sigma is able to deal some damage here, and Stellar finds a pick onto Nova. He's on this Hanzo right now, which is a bit surprising, but it did get value, and that's what you love to see. Sloth does trade out low onto Benetton, so, one damage dealer either way, and it does seem like the Russians are going to lose out based on that because of the Erasa Sigma just being more sustainable.
Yeah, and we see the ults coming out for both teams soon. We're going to be seeing these dry fights turning into fights with ultimates. You just see the reset coming from Babuska there. They have the time. We're still not even into the minute that the other team had left, and they've already pushed it probably half of the way. So they're going to be happy with that. They need to get these ults going and push it for that final half. We do see the switch from the Winston to the Reinhardt on this part of the map. Interesting not to see an Orisa, but we will see how that works out for both teams.
He probably just wants to W onto this Sigma. I think that if the Orisa's going to be playing on an off angle like this without protecting the Supercharger, in fact, it might be easy to get some aggression in for Portos onto that Sigma, but Sloth does get a pick off onto Husky as Nova goes down as well. Stellar, though, keeps popping off. Takes out Sloth with the Storm Arrow. I'm assuming that was just a lucky spam shot. As you usually see from Hanzo's nowadays. And Teabag here, he's pushing into the front line. He's putting a lot of pressure onto Portos here. And he has to keep that shield up to keep himself alive. Babushka goes down, and so does Mirka. Although Sloth and Portos do bounce back with a couple picks of their own, and this is going to be a very scrappy fight right now. Husky on the Moira is just flanking and trying to kill Sloth here, and Sloth can't even do anything about it. The flanking Moira is just going to win Latvia the team fight here with a healing orb onto his own team, and this is a tragedy. If the Russians don't win this fight, they lose the entire thing. Well, not the entire thing, but they lose the map.
Entire map, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. It will definitely drag the game out a little bit further if that happens. But it will be a good contest from the defensive side, and they are looking for their first point in this game. It's going to have to see the Moira fading in and probably sacrificing here to keep the dream alive. Mercy's going to come in and res, actually, and it is an even fight
so
against
smart.
but the pick comes onto the Nova.
Yeah.
5v6.
Yeah, the Mercy is so smart there. You managed to res up any players that go down, although saying that, he does go down himself, so unfortunately, Mercy, you can't res yourself, but Portos comes through with a slam, manages to find Cucumburgers, and that's one pick, so that there's progress being made here, and with Mirka dropping this flux, Teabag is also going to go pretty low here, but again, I mean, there's nothing you can do. Latvia finally get a map in this series and begin to start the reverse sweep.
Yeah, the Blues take that one, unfortunately. For the Russians, it's not going to be as easy as they may have thought. Back to 2-1 as we move on to 2CP, but we know 2CP can be a very quick map to be finished over with.
Long one.
But here comes the Nova player of the game. Big tire, actually, to drop the team there, and the Russians going to be mad that they're not going to be able to take that as a 3-0, but still very much the favorites to win this map. Obviously the reverse sweep being so hard in this game. 7 minutes and 17 seconds objective time for the Orisa. Wow.
Yeah, it goes to show how much he was anchoring down on that point and really just trying to keep things together for his team while his team does stuff around him. Though he wasn't getting much value out of the pulls, but he was definitely holding his ground, and that's what you love to see out of Orisas nowadays. Although maybe he gets a bit more value out of his pulls in the next map, you never know. Hopefully they realize their mistakes a little bit. And I mean, they win a map, and now they're able to build up a bit of momentum coming into the next one. This is what you love to see, bit by bit, taking control of the series.
Yeah, bit by bit, and we do see the map coming into Temple of Anubis, everyone's favorite assault map, I'm sure, at this point.
Yeah, I think this is one of the better 2CP maps.
Yeah, out of all of them, I think that's probably one of the better ones to pick. We're just waiting on Latvia to begin. I think they're going to be subbing someone in by the looks of it, as someone is joining the game, or at least bringing in a spectator.
Main tank came. Wait, they were playing with a sub main tank?
I believe so. I've seen Boring in the game before. There we go. So I think it's Teabag that would be taking the back seat. No,
it's Cucumber for Boring. So Cucumber was playing both off tank and main tank. Maybe that's why they were playing so flexible between those two roles, because he was a sub.
Maybe. That makes sense, definitely. Maybe it was just you never know. There could just be the strong characters between the two. Maybe they got different pools. But yeah.
Although Cucumber's Sigma wasn't bad, I think his Ryan was outrunning Portos at times, so I don't think he's that bad of a player. But if they think Boring will be better in this sort of situation, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely. Boring sometimes is better, as much as it is boring. But
God, just don't never make that joke again.
I've had to make that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. No one blames you. Don't worry about it, man.
But yeah, going into this fourth map, what do you expect to see here? Do you think we're going to see either team, be especially the winner here, or do you reckon it's going to be quite close again? What do you think?
Hopefully, well, the thing is, I'm looking to see Orisa Sigma mirrors here. I think that's the strongest comp on this map. I think that maybe dive on offense could be something they try, especially since Rush B squad, or the Russians, sorry, they did tease the dive there on Junkertown. Of course, it's Junkertown, so it didn't work. But either way, I mean, Anubis could work for that as well. I just think their issue on Junkertown was running that dive and then swapping to the Rhine afterwards. I think they need to stick to what's tried and true, play the Idrissa Sigma or the Idrissa Rhine, and just get a value with your Junkrat. Get the aggression in, and make sure you're following up onto anything that your DPS do. Nova started to be dealt with during that map, so I think it'll be down to other players now to sort of step up.
Yeah, definitely. I think, we've got to get these players around them performing as well as the key players are. Otherwise, I think we're going to see, either team collapse after this, because you can't always just carry, going through the entire thing. So, it's all dependent on who, can get their players working as hard as some of these carriers like Nova and Benetton are.
Yeah, I agree. There will be a 2-minute break right now, so let's just let's have a little bit of a chat not concerning the game, because if they're taking a break, we can take a break too. What's your snake's name?
My snake's name? Oh, it's Milk, I said.
Milk.
Yeah, the snake is called Milk.
Why'd you name it? Wait, do snakes produce milk?
I did not name it Milk. I did not name it.
Why? Who named it Milk?
The girlfriend named it Milk.
Oh, you have a girlfriend? Dude, what a
Yes, I do.
simp!
How
You're an
dare
absolute
you
simp,
call
bro.
me a
Imagine
simp?
having a girlfriend.
That is so rude.
What
I
do
don't
you
even
mean?
simp for her. And
You
she
don't,
hates it.
you don't simp for your girlfriend. Damn, what
No.
a bad boyfriend.
You have no authority to call me a bad boyfriend, my friend. We are
True.
seeing your face on this, and I just have to say,
You're not
the
surprised
king's
I'm
face
single.
right there. It's a king's face, but it is a
Oh.
single face also.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always been in my blood, just being single. It's the way I like to roll, especially considering the fact that I get attached very easily, which is an issue I'm not going to go into. This isn't a therapy session,
I
Daz.
don't think this is the right spot to be talking about this.
Yeah, bro. Let's get back to the game. I regret the decision to talk about anything other than the game. So, why has Maboshka been turning up? He's been very quiet. Whatever he's been doing, he's seemed consistent. Not good,
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, consistent is key though. If it's a consistently good performance.
True, but I mean, there's players like Nova, like Sloth, who pop off sometimes, but also don't get value. I think that the styles of some of these players clash in a way, but I think it works out regardless. I think that this team is quite well rounded in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's best. I don't know who's going to win this game, if I'm honest at this point. I think they're throwing a spanner in the wrench. Spanner in the wrench. Spanner in the works. Spanner in the wrench. Throw the spanner in the wrench. But yeah, I don't know who's quite going to win this game, if I'm perfectly honest. But it is making it a very tense game, and it is stopping me from going to my dinner date. So it would be nice if it gets over and done with quickly.
Yeah, if this ends quickly, it'll be very nice for you, and it'll be a bit of a tragedy for me, because I'm actually enjoying this game. Latvia are, making it close. They were doing it all through not all through the first map, but King's Row, they started to, seep back into the game, get a bit of control. And then on Junkertown, they didn't look like they were completely in control, but their defense at the end there was stellar. No pun intended.
Yeah, it was an incredibly strong one, to be fair. I think they'll be very happy with that as well.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I think that like both of these teams are very good. Apparently, you said both of them are undefeated, right? So like, you don't want to lose to the other, and I think that's driving Latvia to sort of come back into this, get the reverse sweep, and then claim the winners bracket title overall as their own, hopefully at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I've just got two people in my room ordering KFC at the moment. So
Ordering KFC? What are you having?
I'm not having anything. I've already eaten lunch today. We're going off to get a meal. So,
damn, dude,
yeah,
they're leaving you out. Huh?
Yeah, I know they're leaving me out. No, I'm going to a restaurant. They get to eat KFC. I think I've got the better end of the stick here. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it depends if you even go to that dinner date yourself. This might go on for another 3 hours. You never know.
Exactly. We are encroaching on the time that I need to be traveling.
True. Let's hope we don't have to do that then. We don't want Biobop casting, after all. No offense to him.
No offense, Bo, but
yeah, I mean, when you offered to cast, like, because you were looking for casters, obviously, and when you offered to cast, I was like, what? I didn't know you could cast. I thought you were just a desk host. So it's actually surprising how good you are at casting.
I can't cast. Don't worry. It's still
you can. Your color segments are decent. And you have a decent voice for play-by-play, so.
You're gonna make me blush live on air, my friend.
Oh
Even
yeah,
if it is
I'm
2
gonna
minutes
make
behind.
you ooh.
Don't make me ooh, please.
Why do you not want to ooh live on broadcast? It's embarrassing.
I'm getting berated because I'm not wearing a pair of jeans right now. I'm doing the faux pas of desk camera work. I'm not wearing any
Okay.
trousers. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, dude.
I'm very prepared. Don't worry.
Yeah, I can tell.
I'm good.
You're not even dressed.
I'm not even dressed for dinner. What time are we gonna be there? 8:30. How long does it take to get there?
40 minutes.
40 minutes.
I'm just having fun eavesdropping.
Yeah, that would be fine. That's what we're going about. I've got 8 minutes to complete this next game.
7.
7 minutes.
And we have to leave as soon as she completes it. Just help us be with the dress.
Very fun.
What shoes are you going to wear?
Shoes am I gonna wear? That's a good question. What shoes should I wear?
So you press the button.
I'll let you decide.
Takeaway? Drive through?
I'm talking to you here, Wisey.
No,
Wait, what?
no.
What shoes should I wear?
I'll send you
What shoes should you wear? I don't know. Wear something stylish.
Stylish.
Yes. You want to impress your girlfriend, don't you?
Stylish. She's right here. She can decide for me if I'm honest.
Oh, go for it. Ask her. But yeah, I mean,
the blue ones.
blue ones. The white and blue ones.
Yeah, the ones.
Still
that
having fun eavesdropping.
Okay. Why should I wear those ones?
Because you're not wearing any colour.
I'm not wearing any colour, so I have to wear colour in my shoes. Is that the rules?
Yes.
I'm not a woman, nor am I an artist, so I do not understand these things.
You're not emo. You're wearing colour.
Anyway, let me actually open up the Twitch page and see how many viewers we have. I want to see if I can interact with the chat in any way.
Yeah, chat's kind of quiet at the moment. Don't worry. We've got 32 people watching, but they're all
32
seem very
viewers.
quiet.
Okay, every single one of you, every 32, like every single person of those 32, I want you to go in chat right now, and I want you to put 1 in chat if Daz should wear stylish shoes, or 2 in chat if he should wear hobo shoes.
Hobo shoes. Hella
Unstylish
hobo
shoes. Anything that's not stylish.
I wear everywhere.
We need to get some chat interaction here, and that's the only thing I could think of. I'm actually watching it on my iPad right now, but you've got ads. You have ads on the stream. What are you doing, man?
I have ads?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have ads. I've got
Why?
monetized that shit.
You're doing this for monetary gain, I see.
Oh, yeah, of course. No. I'm just trying to rinse everyone of their money, of course. No, just watching an ad. It's like, it doesn't even add anything to my bank account. It's not like it's 1 pence per time. It's like 0.01 pence per time.
Oh, okay. So,
Don't
like,
worry.
basically, you're making a minuscule amount of money. But you're still making money.
Hardly.
Yeah, but you're still making money, aren't you?
Yeah, I hope that 3 pence can go back into the community as part of the prize pool. There you go.
You can buy those one-piece sweets from the, I don't know, from some sort of shop. I know there's shops out there that do them.
1 pence sweets. Brilliant.
Yeah, just get just save up enough money to get to go to your bank account, get like a quid out of the bank, and then just buy 100 one-piece sweets. Anyway, let's get into the actual game because we are going in to a Temple of Anubis. It's 1-2 right now to the Latvian side. Latvians need to come back into this and complete this reverse sweep if they want to come out victorious and possibly go further in the winners bracket.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very tense match, and I hope it doesn't last any
You've
longer
suddenly gone
because-
very far
oh my
away from
God,
the
I've
mic,
really
Daz.
gotta go eat. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm really far away from my mic. I'm currently doing up my trousers and doing my buttons. Very professionally, of course.
Yeah, very professional.
Making sure that I'm still obviously thinking about Overwatch, not what I'm going to be having for dinner tonight. So keeping it professional. I know we've already decided. But
Yeah, I couldn't even hear what Daz is saying, but anyway, lads, this is going to be an absolute banger of a game. I think that Stellar on the Junkrat here is interesting. I don't think they should be running this, considering how he hasn't really popped off on the Junkrat. But we'll see how he matches up against Nova, especially with Nova probably playing Junkrat here, let's face it. Damn, Daz, very professional.
Do you iron t-shirts?
What?
Do you iron t-shirts? Do you iron the creases out of t-shirts?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because you need to look smart.
Yes, that's them saying yes. Yes.
I hate that you proved her right. Right, let's just continue with the game.
Yeah, let's get into the game here. So it seems like it'll be an interesting dive composition here. Nova's on the Junkrat for the dive and is already a DC happening. Teabag disconnected from the game. And we're probably going to end up getting a game restart here since he won't be in the fight for that since Latvia are on the defense. But it does seem like the composition that is being run here by Russia is going to be that Bull Winston dive with a Farah. So I do like it a lot.
Huge pause. Latvian internet Papega.
Latvian internet Pepe hands. Yeah, he wants to restart. You can't tell me that wasn't just a plan to scout out what the Russians were running.
Yeah, exactly. We can't exactly approve.
Sorry about that on behalf of the T. Not the team, the T.
T, of course. Very British.
Yeah, obviously.
We're gonna
yeah.
have to get emergency cover for me at this point.
How do you
I
like your
really
tea?
going. How do I like my tea?
Yeah.
I don't drink tea.
You don't drink tea?
I don't drink tea.
You're British and you don't drink tea?
Yes.
You
Why?
have 2 minutes to be out of the door in the car.
Yes.
Otherwise-
So I don't drink tea because tea is not my thing. I'm more of a hot chocolate kind of person, let's be honest.
Okay, that's what. Yeah, hot chocolate is very good,
Hot
to be
chocolate
fair.
is the shit, my friend.
Yep, it really is, and seems like Teabag will be joining back into the game. They want a restart, although I'm not sure if we're restarting or unpausing. It's up to Daz, since he is currently the admin in the game currently. Daz,
Don't worry. I got this.
you got this. Yeah, I mean, Russia's composition's not been scouted out, but I doubt these teams will change up their compositions. I think they match up pretty nicely against one another. The Junkrat mirror, the Ash against the Farah. I think that Latvia won't have an issue with what they're running here.
Yeah, I think it's going to probably say the same. If it doesn't, then that's pretty unfair by the Latvians. But, you know, it's how it is. It is what it is. Latvian internet sucks.
Yeah, both compositions seem to be staying the same here, though. They're locking in the exact same heroes. And I'm interested to see how Sloth on this Farah will do. Because, I mean, the Farah worked out pretty well. I believe was it the Latvians that played Farah as well last time? And it worked out well for them, so hopefully it'll work out well for the Russians, especially with the Pocket Mercy. I think that Rushka will be hard pressed to try and get some healing in, but yeah, what?
I just watched the stream back because it's 2-minute delay. Bio changed back to the cameras as I was changing my shirt, and 2 people immediately left.
Oh my god.
Bio, why you done me dirty like this, my friend? Come
Bio,
on.
man, Bio, why you doing this to us, man? Unlucky.
Great. Hope no one clips that. God damn it, Bio.
Oh, my... oh, that is great. That's alright anyway. Coming into this, let's stop talking about shit. This Daz and let's actually focus on the game. Sloth on the Fari here. Let's hope we can actually get some value.
Yeah, let's pray he can get some value, although he is coming up against a defense that has a lot of hit scan.
Yeah, Benetton here, he's going to have to basically deal with that Farah alone, because Stellar on the Junkrat here probably won't be able to deal with him. The dive comes through instantly here, and it's just so much burst damage. The Mercy, the Rissa, the main bulk of this composition has just gone down, and even though Nova and Portos get traded back onto, it does seem as if Latvia will be losing this team fight out purely just because they failed to deal with that very impactful dive.
Sloth with the clean push on that Farah. He's just wiping out everyone, and that's already point 1A taken. And now they're gonna do it. They're gonna rush B, ladies and gentlemen. The Russians are gonna rush B.
And they have 6 minutes to do it.
Words. I'm not gonna say these magical words, but rush B, and then the word that everyone knows in Russian that CS:GO players use.
Yep, indeed. And I mean, this is going to be interesting because they have 6 minutes to push this, and they can int as much as they want. The Russians can build up 6 ults and bait out Latvian ultimates, and then from that, they can just win this pretty much instantly as soon as they get those 6 ults online. And I mean, even though they just lost this fight, it gave Sloth a bit of time to build up that barrage.
Yeah, and I'm now officially late to my restaurant meal, so this will be very fun.
I can sell the cast.
Do you want to? That's the real question.
Let's do it, dude.
All right, man. I will leave you to solo cast. Best of luck. I will try and keep an eye on the stream if possible. I doubt it is, though, as I'll be driving. But best of luck to you. As we see the Farah pushing in, I will leave you in the capable hands of the solo caster himself, YZ.
Epic. So Sloth here finding a pick onto Papa Lucio, and that right there is going to be so crucial. The healing is completely gone for the side of the Latvians, and with Benetton going down as well, no hit scan to deal with Sloth in the air. Although Baboshka and Nova both go down simultaneously here. And Husky on this Brigitte is able to just deal with the Bull and the Winston pretty nicely, not able to be bursted down as quickly as you would like. The mines come through in the middle of the point right now, and that right there is going to be very good for zoning. The Latvians can't really gain any pressure on this point, but that being said, 3 members of the Russians go down, and there's no way that Nova can glitch that out with a tire solo. Benetton still goes down here. Nova thinks this is winnable. He wants to maybe clutch this out, but either way, he does get taken out, and finally there's going to be a disengage coming through from the Russians. And that was a lot of ultimates used there. There's not really much of an ult economy for the Russians, and there was a lot of ultimates saved there by the Latvians. There's a Bob, a Visor even. They've gone double hit scan, and that nano visor could be crucial. You could see that be used. Basically just take down the Pharah, like the Pharah and the Mercy combo pretty much solo. And coming into this now, the ball rolls through, tries to get a backline pick onto Stellar, and he got cut off from his team very quickly there. So now Portos is going to try and go into the backline, take out Papa Lucia, but Papa Lucia finds a sleep. Sloth now, he takes out Benetton, he has the barrage if he wants to use it, and the nano comes through onto Boring. He's probably not going to be pressured out by Portos, because who wants to go into an Orisa that's nanoed, and apparently Portos does want to, as he gets taken out by that. Merca gets taken out by Stellar, and that's another push completely shut down by the Latvians. But it was a dry fight, and that's what the Russians really wanted out of that. They baited out a lot of ultimates, the nano, the rally, the bob, and that's basically all you want. Because now this could actually be a winnable next fight for the Russians, given the fact that they had a 6-minute time bank and now there are 3 minutes. You'd think by now they'd be able to actually win this, but they go for a swap. They go for the Ryan Zarya without a Lucio. So this will be very interesting to see exactly what they can get done with this composition that they've chosen to go with. Because again, without a Lucio, you're not going to be able to close distance. You're against a McCree, a Soldier. And with that Visor in play as well, as soon as that shield goes down from Portos, that Visor is going to get so much value. Nova, though, comes through with a tire, manages to find 2 members with it. Stellar and Benetton both going down. The hit scan's gone, and that means the Sloth can rain absolute havoc down. And all 5 kills there, in fact, all 6 kills were gained by the DPS line of the Russians. And despite the fact that there's a Tracer now trying to touch here, Benetton might not be able to do it, and he doesn't. 2 minutes 42 on the time bank for the Russian side. And that is what you'll love to see. A very nicely executed final push with 7 actually at the end there, DPS kills. Oh, and that right there is solo casting magic, and I have to do this for another god knows how long. But yeah, that just seemed like a very well executed push there by the Russians. They got value out of their tire by taking out both DPS. I'm not sure if that was intended, but either way, it gave the space that the Russians needed in order to drop that barrage, find 3 kills of it, and then obviously the cleanup comes through from Nova and Sloth, and it just seems like these 2 players are just carrying them through this. The tank lines match up in favor of Latvia, I would say, and then it just seems like the DPS line are just completely and utterly being dominated by the Russians. Sorry, so it does seem as if maybe on the defense here they run the exact same composition, and I wouldn't blame them if the Latvians can't deal with it on defense when they have the sightline advantage. How are they going to deal with it on offense when they don't have the sightline advantage and they have to fight for those sort of angles, or sightlines, the higher grounds, especially if Nova's going to be disrupting them. I mean, like, if Nova just goes up and disrupts Stellar or Benetton if they go on the high grounds, then it'll be interesting to see just how these 2 DPS lines match up. But I do think that this is interesting. You're running a Moira with dive, which isn't something you typically like to do, especially considering you don't like to fade into position. You like to fade out of position when you're being threatened. Haskai goes down pretty early on there in the it doesn't go down, but he goes down in health very early in the fight. And now Boring, he goes in the air, he rolls around, and he just doesn't do anything with it. He gets rolled there by Sloth on the far end. Babushka goes down, but Benetton is traded out onto here. It's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Russians, and they're going to press this advantage right now. Sloth wants to go in, he wants to deal damage, and he manages to help Merca get teabag there. And that is such a crucial pick-off. Because that prevents a dive from being orchestrated for another few seconds. And it also provides some ult charge to Sloth. He almost has this barrage online, and let's hope he uses it pretty early on, because that can be crucial. Just getting 1 or 2 supports off will be an extremely crucial thing to do here for Sloth. And now he has a barrage online. And Nova is also coming up on this tire, so there can be a lot of explosive DPS potential here, no pun intended, for like the 50th time this series. And the dive comes through here. Now Teabag being pressured out right now. He can't get in because he's just being pressured out to his own backline. Stellar gets taken out there by Portos. And it just seems like, yet again, Latvians have been foiled because of first pick priority going to the Russians. And it does seem as if Sloth here, holding on to this barrage and actually getting a pick onto Benetton there, probably either forces out the res or just buys a ton of time for the Russians. And you've got to be happy with this if you're Russians. You've already burnt 2 minutes off the clock, and even if a cap comes through, it won't result in much here. Boring comes through on the high ground, trying to get a slam in. Doesn't find anything though, and he slams back onto the plinth. And now control of the plinth is gone over to the Latvians, which is definitely crucial. Getting space on Anubis, whatever space it is very crucial. Now, the Nano comes through onto the Winston right now on the side of the Russians, and he's just going to be able to deal some damage in there. And I mean, Nova as well, finding 3 on this Junkrat, getting a tire onto Stellar as well. I mean, it's a lot of times now where Stellar has died to this tire on the Genji, when you would think he can just dash right click it or get, close enough where he can just right click one shot it. But he just isn't able to in a lot of these situations, and it seems like he keeps dying to it. And maybe that's due to Nova just being very good at strafing with that tire. I wouldn't be surprised as he's a very good Junkrat in general, and that D-Mech is such a tragedy, despite the fact that Nova does take him out, so the remech comes through as soon as he respawns. It would have been amazing if they just left him D-Mech there and forced him to have to build up ult charge. And then obviously he would be losing out on ult charge he could be, getting during the poke phase onto his bomb. However, there is a blade online here for the side of the Latvians, and this could be what they need. If Baboshka goes down very early, it could be crucial. And now would be the perfect time to blade. There's a res coming through right now, there's going to be no Guardian Angel happening, but it doesn't happen. But now it happens right now. The mine's actually to try and deny some space, but it doesn't quite work out. Stellar finds Baboshka, doesn't quite find anything else, as Stellar gets destroyed there by Portos with that Primal Rage, and 3 picks off if you include Diva Mech right here for the Russian side. This is amazing. You'll love to see it. And the Primal Rage forces out the Coalescence. There's a lot of ultimates being used here by both sides. And I think if Sloth comes back and uses the barrage here, it could be absolutely, crucial. But you will see a disengage come through from the Russians, and I don't think they want to anymore, unless they get a full regroup and can actually recontest this. Benetton's being pressured off of that high ground by Sloth on that Farah, and now the bomb comes through from T-Bag to try and make some space. It was a very interesting bomb, doesn't find anything other than Canodian. I didn't think it'd find him, but apparently it does. Papalucio here on the Moira gets taken out by Portos, so very good dive there. And Portos keeps just jumping up and down right now, stalling this point out very effectively right now. He gets taken out and so does Baboshka, but the amount of time gained by just, whittling down this time bank for the Russians is amazing. Nova takes out Stellar here, and this could actually be the moment where they turn it around. Nova and Merca both go down, and yeah, the Russians finally have to back off for good. But now the third point is just going to be completely the Russians to take. Not the Russians to take, the Latvians to take. They have a pulse bomb coming up soon. They potentially have that Bob eventually. And the Primal Rage too. So if the barrage is the only thing that the Russians have for this next fight, it could be a disaster, especially if the Farah dies off early like that. The res will have to come through, and it gets one clip by Stellar, and this is the insane snowball coming through from the Latvian side now. The dive into the backline comes through from Boring. He gets slapped up by Baboshka, but there is still being backline pressure coming onto Boring. He uses that Primal Rage to keep himself alive. Stellar gets taken out by Nova here on the Junkrat. So very interesting, probably a one-shot combo actually. And Sloth gets taken, doesn't get taken out. He takes out both of the supports for the Latvian side, and the dive gets shut down immediately like that. You cannot let your support line die on this offense on 2CP, because you need them alive to sustain this dive as long as you can. And now, obviously, you're going to see a bit of a regroup come through from the Latvians. They have Pulse Bomb, they have the Bob, and that's basically what they start this fight off with. The only thing that the Latvians lost during that was a Primal Rage, and typically you only won that during stall fights, so it's not as bothersome as it could be. There is some high ground control being taken here by T-Bag. He doesn't want to, allow Sloth to take that high ground and get some damage in. I mean, I don't blame him, but right now the left side is being held right now by Portos, just controlling this high ground very nicely with this bubble as well, protecting himself. Stellar gets taken out, rezzed up. Canodian also gets taken out here, so no mercy available for any rezzes that happen. But the barrage comes through from Sloth, manages to find a pick off with it, and Portos helps out with the Primal Rage as well. And now we are approaching 1 or 2 fight territory. And it definitely seems like the Russians have this in the bag. They have mines, they have the Junkrat tire, they have Nano, they have Valk, they have everything they could ever want to be able to win this. And there were some, forward staggers, pressed up there. So the Latvians are going to have to take a moment to reconvene. And they have 6 ultimates online, though. So if none of these ultimates, manage to get any value, it is going to be a tragedy. I don't think the Latvians ever lose this fight. But if they do somehow lose it, I will be absolutely disappointed in them. In fact, the bomb comes through, manages to find Babushka, but Nova with a 2k tire yet again, finding 2 picks off when it's a crucial moment that they need it. And now Haskai comes through with the res onto Benetton, so it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade on both sides, where the defenders have the better spawns. The respawners are going to come back soon, the res comes through onto Portos, and that is just going to mean that the Russians can stall this out for as long as they want. They're going to be using all the ultimates available to them, actually. Sloth is the only one that's going to have one coming up in this stall fight. And yeah, it still seems like the Russians are going to win this out. Right now, it's literal clutch time right now for the Latvians. They have to win this, otherwise they'll lose the entire series all in one file swoop. And now you're going to see Boring going down after using that Primal Rage. Stalls it a little bit too early on, and Stellar's already said it in team chat, and that is GG's right there. What a game, what a play from Russians to be able to take that against a 6th ultimate team fight when they only have 4 ultimates of their own to use. That was insane by the Russians. The entire series was great by the Russians. It was a great fight by the Latvians as well. They did very well in that. But unfortunately, the Russians, the carry potential was just too much for the Latvians to deal with. And I'm not sure about the situation now since Daz is gone, what I'm going to do during this last post-game segment. Let me ask Beobop, actually, he's in the voice chat with me. Beobop, what are we doing? Are we just going to end it here, or are we going to go into like a thing where I explain it?
Clear skies ahead.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So apparently we're going to update those scores, I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then we're going to end the stream as soon as I'm told to. So, that was a game and a half. I mean, there were so many good plays during that. Nova had a lot of very good tires. Those 3k tires, there was a 4k tire in there, I believe it was on King's Row. And then there was just a couple of 2ks, you know, spread out along Junkertown and Anubis. And it's surprising how much you can get away with on this Junkrat, considering this is a diamond level where you would assume that they have sound on, or they're at least able to look around them. And the Latvians just couldn't deal with it enough there. It just seemed like they had no grasp on how to counter this Junkrat coming out from Nova, especially with the frontline pressure as well coming out from the Rush B squad. I do think that there was some good plays coming out from Portos, especially, as well as the other tank, which was Mirka. Those 2 players were just insane at being able to, push the front line whenever Nova gained an advantage for them. And that is their playstyle. They want to play around Nova on that Junkrat, and they did it perfectly. And on the other side of things, the Latvians weren't really able to get anything done against it. Their frontline pressure was decent, but they couldn't deal with Nova. The advantages were too much for the frontline pressure to go against. And even though there were some good plays, he subbed in the extra main tank at the end there to maybe try and switch things up and clutch it out at the end. Just didn't happen. They had a sub in for most of the time, and they actually won a map with that sub in. But Latvians, they just couldn't take it. And that, I guess, will be the end of the stream here. So thank you all for watching today's Overwatch International Community Cup stream. Hope you enjoyed this Latvia versus Russia game. Russia take it 3-1, and that is how the cookie crumbles. Latvia go down to the bottom bracket, the losers bracket, and Russians will remain on top, being able to go through into the next rounds. So thank you all for watching again. It has been me, Wisey, along with Daz for most of that match. And you got to give thanks to Beobop, the observer, as well. So thank you all for watching yet again, and we will see you probably tomorrow with our next broadcast.